Hi everyone, it's episode 14 of FPL BlackBox and we've done it. We've smashed 10k subs, our end of season target. Thank you to everyone who has subbed and liked our pod so far. Mark, we're in the suits. How you feeling?
Got it by Christmas as well. I wasn't expecting it by Christmas. I was kind of hoping it would be the Christmas episode. Then we don't have to wear Christmas jumpers. We only have to look silly for one show. Now we look silly for two. Yeah, it was touch and go whether I was going to make the suit.
I know. I couldn't believe when you messaged that. I was like, oh, come on, make the effort.
I know. I wanted to. It's just I knew I had all my tables to do. I had to prepare everything, and you know how it is. And but yeah, I had to do it. We got to celebrate the 10k, haven't we? And the missus said, well, just don't wear any bottoms at all. And I said, I can't do that because if the Hoover kicks off again and I have to get up and turn it off, I can't have that, can I? That would be all over the. But admit
that'd be great content.
It would be gold. It would probably help with the subs. Well, no, it'd probably hurt them, wouldn't it? But admit it. Have you got pajamas bottoms on, or have you got your suit bottoms on?
Come on. I can neither confirm or deny what I've got underneath. You have to wait till 100k.
Right. Okay, you haven't got the seat bottoms on. I don't think you have. I don't think you've done it.
No, I haven't. I'm in jeans. So
But
to ruin the illusion.
10k subs. Delighted with that because we genuinely said at the start of the season we want to go for 1,000 lives watching, 1,000 people watching it live, which we achieved like week 3, I think. Mm-hmm. And then we wanted 10k subs by the end of the season, and we've got it from Gameweek 14. So should we set another target?
We're ahead of schedule.
We are. Let's not set another target. Let's just see how we go. But we're very happy with the support that people have shown us, and we're loving doing the show, aren't we? It's good.
Absolutely. Yep.
No Jay this week.
And with that, let's do the show.
No Jay this week. He was far too popular. Did you spot that? We can't have him on again.
Yeah, I had a few people saying, form a trio, like we want Jay on every week. And it's like, okay, let's just kill that off.
That was a mistake.
Let's nip that in the bud. He's too good.
he was really good, and he will certainly be on again, probably in the new year. We're not going to drag him into the show before Christmas, but certainly in the new year we'll get him on again because he was excellent. It was great to talk to him as well, and also get enough opinion on the show. Other than not, that I don't value your
absolutely.
Opinion. And in fact, I'm going to need your help later on. More on that in a bit.
Well, my rank's on the screen, so I can see why you'd want Jay to fill in some
green arrow. Let's look at your game week 12. We're going to look at our game week 12s. Then we're going to look at our game week 13s as well. See how we're doing at the moment live, because there's still this is, by the way, Thursday evening. Just to timestamp this, it's the first half of the United game. Is it still just about? I think.
About to go into the second half.
And Bruno hasn't got anything yet. He hasn't hurt me yet. Just for background, Az has got Bruno captain. I had De Bruyne, so Az could destroy me this game week if Bruno comes in. But at the moment, you're ranked 1.5 million. Green arrow for you, and I've got a red arrow. My red arrow is not as big as I thought it would be, though, so I'm quite happy with that. But let's look at your game week 12 first of all. Were you happy with this? I mean, we got away with it with Salah, though, didn't we? Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got away with it, but I mean, also we expected a hell of a lot more because, it was just I sold Vardy for Salah. Vardy got 13 points. Vardy was probably my strongest player I had if I hadn't gone for Salah. So really, 26 points became 16. So it's not the end of the world because at least Salah did deliver. But when you sell a player who hauls like that for a hit, it does hurt. But then you look at the rest of the team, and I mean, apart from Martinez, it was just bang average. Blanks in all my defenders. 3 from Fernandes, 3 from Mahrez, an assist from Son. Mopé, how he's still in the team.
Still sticking around.
I mean, God knows. To be fair, he came on as second sub, so I'm not taking...
You're trying not to play him, aren't you?
I'm trying not to play him, yeah. Tried even harder this week, which we'll see in a sec. But yeah, it was just a bang average week, and trouble is, a bang average week means you lose places, so I went down 300,000 places. It was a bad one.
Yeah. Let's look at my game week 12 before we look at game week 13. Similar story for me, really. I didn't do particularly well. I had the Bamford Calvert-Lewin. It started well with the Souček goal again. But yeah, I mean, I was disappointed because I obviously had Cancelo on the bench. I didn't expect them both to play. And it was a choice between playing Souček or the 2 City defenders, and in the end I went Souček, and it paid off, I guess. But I just one of those.
I can't believe when I saw his name come up again, I thought, oh my god!
I've been fortunate.
It's almost like you know what you're talking about, Mark.
Well, I've managed to pick him every time he scored so far. I haven't
know.
had that horrible
It's
feeling of,
unbelievable.
he's on my bench as well. But that run can't continue because he could be on my bench this week. And, eventually he's going to do something while he's on my bench. But I've been very fortunate with it, or picked well, one or the other. Salah, though, he was about to go off. That's the thing. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, my
I know.
word. I mean, it's like... He was about to be something. Now, that would have been agony watching him go. It was just so one was fortunate to get the penalty. Well, it was handball, but even so, when it happened.
Yep.
And then that he was on the pitch. I mean, they could have taken him off before the free kick was taken. They didn't. They left him. They were preparing the sub. I think it was Origi coming on, wasn't it? And then he went off soon after. But Fulham were impressive. We underestimated them, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, defensively they did well, and again last night against Brighton they defended well. Again, there's something a bit different about them. You sense there's almost dare I say a strategy that Parker's built. They actually look kind of a half decent team now. So fair play to him. We'd written them off really. I think a lot of people had, but yeah, there's definitely something a bit more about them. I mean, again, Brighton dominated long periods of last game, but same old story with them. Don't have anything really in the final third, but. Defensively, they seem a much more drilled side. I don't think at least for now they're going to get too many, 3 or 4 nil hammerings because they look decent.
Yeah, and I think someone said it was like 10 of the 11 are different from the first opening game week. So Parker has changed the team considerably, including the back three. So he's changed all the personnel. He's gone to a back three. He's dropped Mitrovic and he's playing more to feet and playing more with pace. And Lookman and looks a really useful player. Loftus-Cheek is finding starts now. Agisa is a player that everyone's admiring. I don't think it's an FPL asset, but he's suddenly the midfield's got something about it. Yeah. I mean, they're not whipping boys, and actually, I'm starting to look at them in a different light now. I'm looking at them as if, well, maybe I need to start considering they're cheaper players when they've got good fixtures. But
yeah, and Cavallero,
Cavallero
out of position, playing up front. 5.3. I mean, I bought in Souček this week as my Jota replacement, but I was considering Cavallero just for that out of position option. Didn't go for it in the end, but yeah, I think he could be a shrewd pick.
I just want to point out that I had him in my watch list about 3 weeks ago, and you made fun of that, but now you're saying 3 weeks later. Memory's gone, is it? It's the booze.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Don't remember that.
Yeah.
One.
You have to find that pick.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at the current game week. It is still live. You've only got 2 Bruno points there. That's going to go up to 4 once he gets to 60 minutes, which can't be far off as we speak. But he's yet to get any returns. Is that correct? Nothing yet?
Yeah, and then just scored again, and it's a Martial assist, Rashford goal. So again, nothing for Bruno, which is a shame. I mean, because I honestly, I can't describe. I woke up on... When did this game week start? Tuesday. I woke up on... It's all a blur,
isn't it? Tuesday, Wednesday?
I know. Yeah, Monday night I went to bed and genuinely I woke up in the middle of the night in cold sweats thinking, I don't own De Bruyne. Like, what am I doing? I've got Mahrez. He isn't going to play. I haven't got De Bruyne. Everyone's going to have captained him. I was having like dreams of him scoring like 2 penalties and stuff. It was awful. And in the end, I literally thought to myself, I'm going to have to take a -8 here. I'm going to have to get De Bruyne.
You were close, weren't you? You were texting me saying you were going to... Not at 2 a.m, you weren't texting me, although, it would have been fine. But yeah...
To be fair, it wouldn't have been... I mean, I would have taken Mopé and Mahrez out, who got 0 points between them, and got into De Bruyne and captained him. So, I mean, really, it wouldn't have been the worst move in the world. But, when obviously I was watching that City game and it was... I had a shot of tequila at the end of it because I was so happy to make it through that match without De Bruyne getting something.
Yeah,
they're just not right, are they? They're just not the same team they were last year or the year before.
The only player who looks to be at the same level as he was last year for me is De Bruyne. Everybody else, Jesus, Sterling, Mahrez has had a good few games. Let's see if he can keep it up. But in attacking, Bernardo's not getting anywhere near the team. Don't know why. Foden played in this time out, but he's not been a regular. They're just really struggling to find a formula that works. And De Bruyne, he's carrying it all himself, and he's trying to win games for them. He's having more shots in the box, as we've seen earlier. And when we see later on, his minutes per shot is right up there with the very best now, which is not like, he's taking more shots than ever. But he put 2 on a plate, one for Gundogan, one for Sterling, didn't take them. He ended up getting bonus without actually returning because he made so many chances.
Same thing happened to Mahrez a few weeks ago when he kind of had the game of his life and still came away with that game with nothing. The trouble with City is they've sacrificed an attacking player, so they're playing Gundogan and Rodri every match, and Jesus and Sterling just aren't on it, even slightly. So Mahrez has been good, but then they didn't play Mahrez. They played Foden, who I think is a really talented player, but the right wing, spot for him, I don't really know if that's. I don't think that's his best. That's his best area. So he's clearly prioritising keeping more solid and hoping that those players can deliver, and they're just not. So the way I see it is, if you're relying on De Bruyne to get 20 assists this season, I just don't see any of those players at the moment around him being able to finish them.
I think he's generating
to do it.
I think he's generating the chances at a rate where he could get close to a good number of assists, but no one is converting them at the moment.
No,
and
that's what I mean.
Before it was they're not creating big chances, but they definitely did the other night against West Brom. There were big chances there, but I don't know what's going on with Sterling. It's very, very strange because in lockdown he looked absolutely amazing in that second half of the season. This season he's just been to think that he's an 11.5 at the start of the season, and we were like, "Oh, is it him or De Bruyne?" I mean, it's like they're miles apart at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, De Bruyne though. I mean, no goals this season other than the penalties he scored. Like, I'm looking at him compared to, and this is what I said to you a few weeks ago. I'm looking at him compared to Fernandes, to Salah, to Kane, to Son, and all these other guys. And obviously, I know De Bruyne he's the best player in the league, but he is reliant on the players around him delivering. Whereas Salah, Son, they can all just completely do something from nothing. Whereas the thing is, the more that West Brom game went on, it was almost like the deeper De Bruyne came, and he was still delivering in absolutely quality balls, but he's used to dictate the game more in midfield.
That's what happens when they're in that situation. He drops deeper and they throw more men forward, and then he's relied on to get the service in, which he did, but that's not where we want to see him play. We want to see him play in the 10 going forward, which he does for the majority of the game. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we'll go. How many points are you on, by the way, at the moment? You're on 50 points, and I think I'm on 41 at the moment. So this is my game week 13
I'm on 15, and I'm annoyed because
you want more.
I feel like I should be on more. I deserve to be on more.
I thought you'd
for
beat
not having
me.
De Bruyne.
When De Bruyne came in with the 8, I thought you'd beat me by about 15 to 20, and you might still. Bruno's only got to get one return, I think, and then you're in, aren't you? But anyway, so De Bruyne for me is like Grealish. I watched Grealish tonight, and he created 6 chances. He had 6 shots of his own, but he, like De Bruyne, he is at a level above everybody else in the team, and he's laying on chance after chance for everybody else. And he's not getting points because they're not taking the chances. And that is what De Bruyne is at the moment. He is laying on all those chances. They're not getting converted. He's not getting assists. And as we know, if he gets 1 assist, same as Grealish, they get 1 assist, they're in maximum bonus because they create so much. So you don't need a lot from those two, but unless their teammates step up, we have to start questioning whether they're worth holding.
Well, I listened to this podcast a few weeks ago and saying that without Barkley in the team, Grealish is a bit of a worse option. And
who was that? Are you trying to get the fact that you said this, did you?
No, you said that.
Did I? Well, there is that, but the thing is, they were looking at the fixtures he had, you still weren't going to bet against him getting returns.
No.
So that's
and to be fair, I mean, like I said before we came on here, I didn't watch the match earlier, but I was reading through the Sky Sports live updates, and it was literally just Grealish puts it on a plate for El Ghazi, who shoots at the keeper. Grealish runs through 3 players and shoots against the side netting. And I was like, God, I've got a bit of a, I've done because I sold Mahrez for Grealish 2 weeks ago, and it's been a disaster with Mahrez, but luckily Grealish hasn't really punished me.
And I really thought I was going to get something today out of him because he was kind of a differential for me because of people that sold him prior to his blank, and it just didn't come in. I mean, he's got West Brom at the weekend, and as we'll see, that could be a good game for him. But obviously, West Brom could be a different team now that Allardyce is there, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I just think
God.
that I just think Grealish is. It's funny this season. Every time he has a couple of blanks, I'm thinking I probably need to get rid now, and it's silly because then he does deliver, and I go, "What was I thinking? How can I do without this player? He's amazing." So I've got to try and resist it because he's always come good for me in the end. It hasn't taken too long, but it is a worry.
It's interesting though because like my plan was always to get Grealish back in kind of as soon as possible, like when I sold him. And obviously Mahrez is the easy person to get rid of for him because he's just there's so much uncertainty whether he's going to play and all that. And at least with Grealish, you know, you're getting talisman for the team. You're going to get an all action display no matter what happens, and always get the potential for points. But I mean, you know, he's got West Brom away next, which we're going to talk about Big Sam coming in and what that's going to do to West Brom. And then they've got home. I think they've got an easy home game after that, haven't they? It's let me just check. It's Crystal Palace at home. Okay, not easy.
Not easy at all.
So again, another relatively like tough game, and then it's a really rough period for Villa. Chelsea away, United away, Tottenham at home, Everton at home, and they haven't got the double game week. So we're going to talk about blank and double game week strategies off the back of that, but I'm suddenly looking at Grealish now and thinking, I don't know if he really is the priority for me to be getting back in.
No, I've got to agree with you. And De Bruyne, again, is in that category because he just can't do it on his own to the level that Son and Kane and Salah and Fernandes seem to be able to. So they're kind of, I wouldn't say they're hanging by a thread in my team, but I am looking at them and asking questions, particularly this week. When we look at my transfers that I could do, I'll discuss some options there anyway. Great and the good, just briefly, this got updated before today's matches, but what's significant there is as you slip further down the table, on 7:09 before tonight's matches, 60 points behind me, you should close that gap a little bit today.
Joe overtaking.
But Joe's overtaking you. Did he dig you out on the Scoutcast? I haven't listened yet. Was there any comment?
No, it's kind of what you know. I know. You know when someone's being like kind of, you know, he's been quite, you know, nice about it, and it's like,
that's the worst. I would have just
rub it in my face. I know. rub it in my face a little bit, please.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. His team looks good as well. It's, you know, I was saying to him on the Scoutcast the other day, it was like Mahrez versus De Bruyne, Reece James versus Eiling, and like that was, and then like Kane versus Mopay or something. I don't know. It's like this seems such a weird imbalance to our teams. His team is looking good. It's no wonder that he's climbing up the rankings because, you know, the 4 premiums are working for him. You know, he's done well. He's really dug himself out of the hole. So yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah, and I think he went the 4 heavy hitters, and obviously that cheapened up the rest of his team. But he's managed to get through that, and he hasn't got found out in terms of defence because, you know, cheaper defenders have done all right, and the more expensive defenders, and I can vouch for this, haven't quite delivered. Chelsea have gone off the boil, and Man City.
Reece James has been really disappointing.
I know.
Really disappointing.
Again, he looks so good. I mean, returns are there. This is the problem with Reece James. It's very much similar to Cancelo for me. I've got Reece James and Cancelo, 2 players that you watch and you think, well, there's a double-figure return coming because they're getting forward so much, they're creating chances, and they're in, as we're about to see, they're in the best defences. So surely I should keep them. And that's the problem. Once you have them, it's very difficult to get rid of a player like that. Like Trent, isn't it? It's like getting rid of Trent took me ages to accept that. And it's the same with Reece James and Cancelo. I just don't want to accept that they're a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, Reece James is 5-1, so I think he's a keeper anyway. I got him for 5 million even. So I don't think he's a problem at that price. But I think Cancelo is to me, even though he's only a little bit more expensive. So we're not talking about Trent and Robertson level in terms of price, but when you see likes of Target and Dallas and James Justin getting big scores,
well, this is it. I mean, I mean, my biggest problem with like having the 4 premium strategy was it meant that obviously you had to take quite big sacrifices in the rest of the team. So I was looking at Joe's team and he's got like James Justin and Soucek and like, you know, players like, well, he hasn't got in, but like Che Adams and like, for example, and stuff. Actually, these are guys that are actually delivering like really good, like solid points. All you need from those guys is 5 or 6 points a week, and then your premiums to be firing and to get the right captain. And it's, you know, it's a really easy rise up the ranks. So yeah, it's really working. I mean, I think the question mark is if if you've got a player like De Bruyne, what can you do with the money if you're not captaining him? And this is what I was kind of trying to say
Yeah.
the other day. Because I mean, for example, this week I could sell Mopay and get De Bruyne, so I'd have Brewster and De Bruyne, for example, and then be playing Souček, or I could go for Grealish and Ings. So do I think Grealish and Ings could outscore De Bruyne and Souček when I'm not captaining De Bruyne probably in any of the
Sounds
matches
better,
that are
doesn't
coming?
it? Yeah.
And it's I think it's a lot it's closer, I think, than people might think.
It's funny because I have got, when we look at my transfers later, I've got exactly that kind of scenario to present to you, and it's a real poser for me as to what to do. And so what we've talked about with De Bruyne and the fact that perhaps you can get more from liquidating those heavy hitters a bit more, only going for 2 or 3, maybe that there is something there. But the 4 heavy hitter strategy has worked well for Joe, and at the moment it's difficult to knock it. Let's look at what the top 10k are up to. They're further away from us.
Yeah.
That's not the template. There we go. There's the top 10k template. We missed game week 12, of course, so this is comparing to game week 11. Few movers. As you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, a couple. So not huge movers, and not really that surprising. I mean, Martinez has come back in for Mendy, so Mendy didn't last very long, and then he's back out. Defense unchanged, so I think we are seeing a pretty solidified defense now in Walker Peters, Chilwell, James Justin, Zuma, and Reece James.
Yeah,
you can't really argue with any of those. To be fair, I mean, Kurt Zuma, for example, I thought he was a right flash in the pan. You see them every season. A defender who gets a couple of goals early on.
He's unplayable on set pieces, isn't he? At the moment,
He's the lift, the jump he has, and the threat he has from set pieces is amazing. So I think anyone that's got him and is thinking of switching him out to that might not have Reece James or Chilwell, I think it's not as easy a switch as I thought it was a couple of weeks ago. He's an absolute beast.
Well, I've been looking at it and going, he's actually getting Zuma a better option than Chilwell at the moment, because Chilwell doesn't seem to be offering that much going forward. And every time Chelsea get a corner with Mount delivering, and obviously when Ziyech is back, even better, Zuma's the threat. And doesn't, I mean, everyone knows it. The opponents know it, but they don't seem to be able to stop him.
I know.
Was it 4 goals already this season? I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility to think he could get 9-10 goals.
He could have had another one against Wolves as well. He's a really good chance. Yeah.
Midfield.
And then in midfield, not huge change. I mean, Jota obviously left. He was in the template. He's left. Grealish came back in. So this was annoying because I sold Grealish a few weeks ago. I took a 0.3 price drop on it because I think I'm going to get him back, pretty quickly. Took the 0.3. But he was due to come down in price because I had a look on FPL statistics. He didn't come down in price. He ended up going up in price. So he's now 0.4 more than I thought he was going to be.
And you couldn't get him back?
Well, I could get him back if I sold Mahrez, but it's the principle now. 0.4. Well, it should have been 0.2. Oh, never mind, I'm just being stubborn. But yeah, and Grealish is back in for Jota. So the top 10k template is Son, Salah, Grealish, De Bruyne, Fernandes. I mean, it's such a it's a strong
It's just
midfield,
that one
isn't it?
slot, isn't it? It's the Grealish, Jota. I mean, there's one place there that's swapping, and that's it. But
Zaha
Salah,
has
De
been in and
Bruyne,
out.
and
Yeah.
Fernandes are the locks at the moment for the top
Yeah.
10k. Similarly, up front, the locks are Kane and Calvert-Lewin. Bamford's come in for Vardy, though. Bamford back in, not surprising. He's delivered, hasn't he?
No, yeah. I mean, we knew that would happen. Vardy had a good run of fixtures, and they're looking kind of less good now. The trouble was I sold him a week too soon. I should have kept him for that Brighton game. It's easy to say with hindsight. I don't think it's a black box lesson because I think not anyone, but I think realistically Salah was such a standout for that Fulham game going into it. I knew that Vardy has historically done well against Brighton. It was a very reluctant sale, but I really wanted Salah for that game. You just don't know what could happen in that. They could win that 5 or 6-0.
So, I mean,
he gets a hat trick.
I did ask myself this: were we kind of whipped into a frenzy on Salah? Because there was a lot of it on Twitter. We obviously fed each other as well with the fear of not having him. You don't think it was a mistake though? You think it was the right move getting him back, given the fixture?
I mean, you look at Vardy. I mean, he had Sheffield United and Fulham, and he got a goal and assist in that time. He wasn't exactly setting the world alight. We talked about Brighton's resilience.
Mm.
I always had the sense that Vardy would get a goal in that game, but I didn't really see him as the strongest captain option. If I'm looking at the strongest captain option, it was always Salah in that game. And I think the thing is, we put Salah Salah's just in a different bracket, I think, to anyone. Like, I can't remember who it was on Twitter, but they said, if the debate this week was Fernandes against Sheffield United or De Bruyne against West Brom. If Salah's at home to West Brom, there's no debate. It doesn't matter what other player is playing anyone else. Yeah. You captain Salah, and that's what Salah gives you. He gives you that because he is so capable of delivering such monster hauls. So I don't regret it, to be fair. And like you said, we got a bit lucky, but Salah delivered because that's what he does.
Yeah, but it's not just the monster hauls. It's like you say, he always finds a way of getting something out of a game. When he got one the other night with a deflected shot against Spurs. So even when Liverpool aren't at their best, you always think there's a chance with Salah that he will get you something. So the floor, if you like, is quite high as well as the ceiling with Salah. Whereas you don't necessarily get that to the same level with every other captain option. And you're right, he basically, Salah ends arguments. When it comes to the captaincy, often he's the go-to and there's no debate. Whereas when you're dealing outside of him with Son, De Bruyne, Fernandes, Kane, there's always an argument to be had, I think. And Vardy's very rarely in there, but maybe we should be bringing Vardy in a bit more.
A good example is this week. So when I was thinking about how I could maybe get De Bruyne in for this West Brom game, quite a few people are saying sell Salah, and it's the hokey cokey type thing. You bring De Bruyne in here, you bring Salah out here, you bring all that kind of stuff. And I never felt I never felt comfortable with taking Salah out. They're playing Spurs. Defensive stats have been really good. Mourinho's got them playing really solidly. I just never felt comfortable about taking him out, and in the end, it was the right decision. This is why the late riser strategy of taking these players out and bringing in other premiums. It's so risky because you take someone like Salah out, and it can really hurt you. It wasn't too bad this week, maybe, but it I don't know. Salah is just unless he's got coronavirus, which was the one thing, or he's injured. I think he's not leaving.
Yeah, you can't write him off against any opponent, and that's the issue with him as well. Let's look at what the top 10k did with transfers. De Bruyne was the most popular transfer in ahead of this game week, and Grealish as well. Souček right up there, interesting.
Yeah,
was a differential at one point. His ownership going up all the time. The one name that leapt out for me there is John Stones. That was unfortunate. There was some chatter on Twitter about is Jones going to be worth an option. I think he'll come back in against Southampton, but yeah, he was party to rotation as we expected there. And the captaincy, 32% were on De Bruyne going into this game week, and 28 on Fernandes in the top 10. Yeah. So very close, wasn't it?
Yeah, properly split, and then Fernandes, by all accounts, isn't having a great game tonight. And then you've got Kane at third, who also blanked. So yeah, it wasn't a good week for captains. What can you do? I mean, Pete, you captain De Bruyne at home to West Brom, and you expect points, and 9 times out of 10, I think you're getting them with the way he played in that match. I think you were very unlucky to not get anything from that. I mean, you did get something. You got 2 bonus points.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that at all. And I posted. I was quite dramatic for once. That's not like me, is it? On Twitter saying, "Oh, a big red arrow expected," and then someone posted, "Oh, you got your 2 bonus points." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, it was nice to get, and in the end, that could be a real bonus for me, literally, because it's got me 8 points instead of the 4. So yeah, I was reasonably happy with that. But watching the game, he could have got a lot more out of that. Had Sterling. I mean, Sterling Smith was the worst. And Fernandes tonight, I mean, if De Bruyne ends up outscoring Fernandes, that is, I've got away with it. I think got away with it, and it's as the minutes roll by and as his face drops, I get the feeling that could well.
How many minutes are we through now? Right. 72.
Right, and he's still on the 2 points, double to 4. Fair enough. Yeah, let's look at defensive data. And what I'd like to say in my defence, people say to me, why have you spent money on Chelsea and City defenders? I've doubled on them both. This is why, because Chelsea and Man City are, over the season, by far the top defences. I mean, after that, you've got Brighton and Southampton. This is looking at it in terms of minutes per expected goal conceded. Chelsea have conceded an XG every 112 minutes, and then City on 95.6. And then it goes down to Brighton on 82.7, somehow, Brighton. And then a whole pack of teams around the 70-minute mark. But Chelsea and Man City are still right out there on top. And when you look at the last 4 game weeks, I mean, you think that, okay, well, Chelsea have looked vulnerable the last 4 game weeks. Well, the data says not that vulnerable. They're still not conceding many good quality chances. And you've got to say that the Wolves' goals, Podence and Neto, were brilliantly taken goals by players that we talked about quite a bit this season and had contrasting kind of fortunes with, haven't we? Really.
Well, I've always said Neto is potentially player of the season. Right. Just a great pick. You don't need to go back on an earlier podcast to hear me say that.
No, all those text messages that I got. I don't need to dig that out. No.
Yeah, it's a given. No, I mean, fair play. I mean, to be fair, I didn't think Wolves were going to score in that game. I thought, Fabio Silva up front, he doesn't look, I don't want to say good enough, because he's really young, but he doesn't look ready, I don't think, to really be leading the line for what? What would you put Wolves as? A top 8, top 9 Premier League team, really? He doesn't really good enough, but Podence and Neto do look really sharp. So I think they are going to cause problems for teams. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, Chelsea defence has just gone completely. I mean, Mendy suddenly doesn't look as assured as he did a few weeks ago.
I don't think we need to panic. I mean, you've got double defence. I mean, their fixtures aren't great, Chelsea, but I think this data shows that they're still not conceding many good opportunities. So in terms of minutes per chance conceded, City on top over the last 4 game weeks, 11.6. Chelsea next on 10.6. Those two quite a way ahead of the pack. They are the 2 best defences. I think Chelsea will get as clean. I mean, I think what it is with these defenders, you can't really predict when they're going to get clean sheets, because they're giving up very few chances. But if the opposition are good enough to take those half chances, then they're going to concede. And I think Chelsea have just been unfortunate, been on the end of some very good finishes over the last couple of games. So that's it. Really.
Yeah, and I think Chilwell's still been ticking over with he got the assist again last week. James has been unlucky. I mean, he hit the post twice in game week 12. He had a bit more of a quiet game against Wolves, but you can expect every number. It's actually City though. I mean, when I was watching that West Brom game, I was really cursing not having a City defender, because you think the way Pep is now setting up City, it does feel like it's stifling their attack.
It is
quite a bit, but at the same time, it is definitely boosting their defence. I mean, how many chances did West Brom have? They probably had two chances. I mean, Carlin Grant should have done better earlier in the match, but then they scored from their other opportunity. But I mean, City are really doing well at keeping teams at arm's length. You've got to think as well, the fixtures they've got are still good. They're going to definitely keep more clean sheets coming up.
Yeah, I mean,
and Cancelo and Diaz for me. They're the ones to be considering. Cause,
it looks like Cancelo does have the starts now. I think he started 7 in the last 8. And this data shows it. Minutes per big chance last 4 game weeks. They've only conceded 1 big chance in the last 4 game weeks.
I know.
Well above anybody else. So they're just not letting the opposition have a good sight of goal. But the own goal was horrific, wasn't it? The DS own goal.
Did you see that guy? There was someone who had Mahrez captain, Diaz vice.
Right. That's
well,
he didn't get brutal. A minus score for his captain. He just got 0, but that is terrible.
That's true.
Luck.
That's still ouch.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of more teams I want to pick out in the last 4 data. Spurs, minutes per big chance, 180. So they've only conceded 2 big chances in the last 4 game weeks, but they are conceding chances. A chance conceded every 6.3 minutes, which isn't great. I mean, that's well below some of the other teams in our table. And the other one I want to pick out is Southampton, who, for me, Southampton's defence has improved, but they are letting in big chances, a big chance every 36 minutes. So 10 big chances in the last 4 game weeks, that equates to. which when they're playing City next gives me some hope that maybe I should keep De Bruyne. But obviously City have got to take those chances, which they didn't do the other night. And finally, Leeds.
What about Walker then?
Walker, yeah, we'll talk about him when we get to my transfers. We'll talk about what I'm going to do. Just want to talk about Leeds right at the bottom now. In the last 4 game weeks, they are shipping chance after chance. I mean, it's great to watch, though, isn't it? I mean, I was surprised how Newcastle got to them. I mean, I thought Newcastle at home, I could play Alien in this one, but I don't think you can. I'm looking at Alien now going, when am I going to play him? Because I don't think there's any game I look at and think that's a clean sheet. You can't do that with Leeds, can you?
Yeah, Bruno's off, by the way.
Is
just to confirm.
Not
so
sent off,
points.
is he? No.
No.
You look very depressed about it. You've taken that so well. Look at his face.
Well, it's...
I'll drink to that.
What are you drinking, by the way?
It's an old-fashioned. I'm on the hard stuff. Just to celebrate.
Old-fashioned?
Yeah, it's an
wow.
old-fashioned, yeah. Do it in style.
Yeah, nice.
Got the suit on. Might as well be sophisticated with the drink as well. So Bruno, 2 points, yeah. But Leeds. I
mean, that's really disappointing. That's really.
Is it show over now? You just want to go and sulk? Is that what it is now?
Yeah. Well, you sit through all that City game and thinking, I'm going to get something for my captain in 2 days' time. It's going to be really good, and then that happens. Yeah, a bit disappointing. Leeds. I mean, Dallas. I said it a few weeks ago. I know Dallas is the one at the moment. I mean, Eiling at centre back is nothing. Is literally I wouldn't rather have no one, but you might as well just have no one because Leeds concede. He doesn't offer anything going forward. It's just rubbish. Dallas, if you shipped, if you wild card and you switched Eiling to Dallas, then great. I mean, Eiling could still come good because obviously they've had injuries, and when they get a centre back fit, it could see Eiling go back over to right back where he's much more effective, which would be great. But at the moment, I just wouldn't be playing Eiling against. I didn't play him at home against Newcastle.
No, well,
for this reason.
But I would say that even Dallas, he's got more threat going forward. But I just can't see. I'd never look at a Leeds fixture now and go, that's a clean sheet.
No.
They expose themselves to any team, don't they? In terms of leaving themselves open. So it's difficult. I mean, it's great to watch, like I say, but it's not great. If
they kind of they dip in and out, don't they? Like we saw it early in the season. We thought, okay, well, they're never going to keep a clean sheet, and then all of a sudden they went on a bit of a run, didn't they? I think they got two or 3 clean sheets in a row.
Away
and that's
from
when they
home.
Away
from home, they seem to have a bit. They have a policy and they tighten up a bit.
Yeah.
At home, they're cavalier, aren't they?
Yeah, I wouldn't be backing them for a clean sheet. I think I think there's Dallas is doing well, but I think there's better options around 4.5. I like Kufau. I like Walker Peters. I think they're stronger options than Eiling and Dallas personally.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's look at some attacking data. This is where Leeds do excel. Over the season, they're second only to Liverpool. Liverpool right out on top. Minutes per XG, 47.4. Then Leeds on 52.8. Villa on 54. City on 57.2. So Liverpool and Leeds out in front. Interesting, City are creeping up though. And in terms of minutes per chance, they're now creating chances at the fastest rate over the season. A chance every 5.6 minutes. So we're knocking the City attack and we're knocking De Bruyne's ability to get 20 assists. But this data shows that they are beginning, to get nearer a level that they were in terms of chance creation. But you don't look convinced.
Well, chance creation's fine. It's having the teams with the ability to convert them, and it's kind of the same with Leeds and Bamford. I mean, Granville's in the chat. He's giving all this to me tonight. Yeah,
well, he had Bruno captain, so that's all right. He can stay.
You know what he's like. He's all there. But to be fair on him, he Bamford. I mean, he was on one of the he's our first guests or one of our first guests on thing, and he called Bamford and nailed it. But Bamford needs a lot of chances to convert, and we see he does, week on week, and it doesn't matter if he's getting 6-7 points a lot of weeks. I'm happy to have him in my team, but I don't know with City, it's a really strange one because all those chances created are pretty much coming from De Bruyne, and it's like I just don't think Jesus is good enough. Like, surely, I've said this for years. I've literally said this for years, and I've had so much.
Even with Jesus up front, De Bruyne can't get his chances scored. It's just
he can't. I just don't. Honestly, I just don't get Jesus, and Pep loves him, and like, you know, Pep's comments saying, "I would give so much to the team." I've honestly, this isn't like me just saying this. I've said this for like 3 years. Like I just don't get him. I just don't get what he offers. He always looks.
He's a pressing striker. He closes down the opponent. He puts in
Yeah,
a shift.
but he doesn't. He just like they need a goal scorer. They
They've
need
got one.
someone
They've got
up front.
Aguero. He's going to be back.
They've got
soon.
Aguero, yeah, but he's gone soon. So what do they do? What do they do in the summer when Aguero's knackered
I'd wager
and they've got
as the richest club in the world, they're going to buy someone. That's what I would.
So they're
I would
buying
go
someone.
for that,
So
but who? I don't know.
So exactly, that's what I mean, though. That is
Haaland,
what
won't it? They'll
Jesus
go and buy
said. Like he sends that message of being a striker whose time is up at the club, and probably knows it, and
Right,
can't exactly be doing much with his confidence. Well, they're going to go buy Haaland or someone,
Haaland, yeah.
someone brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It'd be brilliant, but he isn't good enough. He just isn't good enough for that club. And, whenever I see him playing up front for City, I think they're not going to score that many goals in this game.
He's going to get a hat-trick at the weekend now. So the fact that minutes per big chance, I mean, I can roll out all the data I want, but you're not going to change your mind. Minutes per big chance, the last 4 game weeks, City every 24 minutes. Now, previously, earlier
look at the games they've had. They've had West Brom, they've had Fulham, they've had United. It's easy.
United, yeah. But what I'm saying is, previously over the season, minutes per big chance was their problem. They weren't creating good quality chances, but slowly but surely they're starting to do that now. So the evidence says that they could turn the corner. I think they need Aguero in the team, right? They need a fit Aguero, because I do agree with you, Jesus doesn't carry the threat. I actually thought he was Taylor. I did think this was his season, I've got to admit. I thought in previous seasons, the only reason he wasn't kicking on was he wasn't getting backed. He wasn't getting 15 starts, back-to-back 15 starts. Only when Aguero was injured, he wasn't getting the starts over Aguero. And I thought this season, Jesus will step up. He'll show us what the player he is that I thought he was. And I've got to admit, he's regressed, like Sterling has, it seems. And I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. But I do have to agree with you that is holding them back. Yeah, but there's 2 more things I want to pick out from the last 4 game weeks. Look where Liverpool are on this table. Right down there, minutes per expected goals, 84.9. So although they're at the top for the season, the last 4 game weeks, their attackers regressed quite severely, and they're like 5th and bottom. And look at the team at the bottom. And talk about Mourinho's tactics. I mean, if you wanted numbers to show you what the impact has been.
It's amazing, isn't it?
In terms of minutes per XG, last 4 game weeks, Spurs are bottom, 140 minutes per XG, which is ridiculous. Like West Brom are on 118 minutes, 0.4. So West Brom are looking more like the score than Spurs at the moment. But of course, when you've got Kane and Son scoring XG-defying goals, it doesn't matter. Those 2 can score.
I'm still XG. I'm still not. I feel like Jeff
believer.
Stelling, when he went on the big run. I think it's you. It's
such a dinosaur.
It's
That's what it is.
I know, but like it's got its. I don't know. It's got things like that. I mean, Spurs. Mourinho. There's no way Mourinho cares even slightly about XG. He's like, we'll just pump the ball forward to Son, and he'll just Son's. It doesn't take into account the finishing of a player. So Son, I mean, I can't remember. I don't think there's a more clinical finisher in the league than Son.
Ooh,
he's just
big statement. Yeah.
Well, it is a big statement. But can you think of one?
No,
I don't know. He's just
at the moment. I'd have to say there's not anyone that comes to mind that I would say.
He gets the ball in that position.
I don't need to say that name again, but the Arsenal striker and captain, I would say, is probably the best finisher when he's at his best, in my book.
He's better at the moment. I mean, he's good. Aubameyang's good at finishing his own net at the moment, not so much in the. He did score, but no, I think if you're banking on one player to slot in a one-on-one chance at the moment, I'd pick Son any day. I think he's playing in a team which is so set up for his strengths. And I think what's going to be interesting is how that kind of develops. I mean, Liverpool really was perfect for Son because they were always just going to soak up as much pressure as they could and try and hit them on the counter. Leicester and Wolves are different. I mean, Leicester and Wolves were big counter-attacking teams, but now they're much more possession focused. And Nuno's built Wolves to be much more like Rodgers has as well. So I wonder how effective Son's going to be in that. And then Spurs go on a really, really good run of games. They've got the Fulhams and all that kind of stuff. And again, I wonder how much does that suit Son. So I've enjoyed owning Son the last few weeks. He's done really well, but I think I'm leaning a bit towards what you said with Kane. I think Kane might end up being the better pick out of the both of them over the next kind of 4 or 5 games.
Really? I think it's still difficult to choose.
It's close.
Well, no, let's look at player data, because this is where it comes into the equation. So I've highlighted here the big hitters, if you like: De Bruyne, Kane, Vardy, Salah, and Bruno Fernandes. So this is over the season sorted by
I love number 1.
Minutes per XGI non-penalty. So minutes per goal involvement, not including penalties. Number 1 at the moment, coming crashing in, new entry, Christian Benteke. But seriously though, he does look, he is, if anyone is a confidence player, it's Mr. Benteke. And
Shemi's banned now for this game.
Yeah, I know, because he would have caused Liverpool problems, I think, because he has done in the past. So yeah, that is a blow. Silly as well. But he's a player that goes on streaks when he's got confidence in him. So we shouldn't laugh at the fact that minutes per XGI non-penalty last over the season now he's top, but that's because he's played fewer games, of course. But minutes per chance, 16.2 minutes, so he's getting lots of chances. But then it gets serious. Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, Giroud, who's a player we'll come back to. The heavy hitters, though, top of the heavy hitters is De Bruyne at the moment. He is, XGI, goal involvement, expected goal involvement every 157.9, and that is without penalties. Ahead of Kane on 165.3, Vardy 165.6, and Salah 168.1. Bruno's down on 172.9. This is before tonight's game. And then you've got to go all the way down to 34th place to find Son on 204 minutes per expected goal involvement. So slowly but surely, Mourinho's tactics is having an impact on Salah, Son and Kane as they drop down this table, and De Bruyne's going up it. For all the talk of is De Bruyne worth keeping, he's
on assist though.
Yeah, he's largely on assist because he's got 2 goals and 6 assists this season, and he is shooting. And he had, let's face it, he had a good opportunity. Well, he nearly scored against West Brom on the near post. Johnston was though on another planet, wasn't he, that night? So I think De Bruyne has been unlucky in matches not to score more often. But you're right, he's only scored for penalties.
I just 12 million for a midfielder who is so reliant on assists for a team who isn't performing well.
Yep, I hear you.
I know, and like I know that kind of statement can come and bite me because I know what City can. We saw it against Burnley; they're not playing well, but they can still hit 5 goals, and obviously they've got the players that can do it. But it is a lot of money for De Bruyne at the moment, and I don't think. I mean, they've got the Newcastle game coming up, but I think in the same week Liverpool have got West Brom. Is that right? I think West Brom. Yeah.
So Salah's your captain.
Yeah, I mean it has to be, right. If you've got Salah and De Bruyne, I think. I mean, look at Bruce. He's going to set Newcastle up exactly the same way West Brom was set up, and you're still going to back a City win, but I don't know about a 4 or 5-0 win. And you can say the same with Big Sam. He's going to set West Brom up, but Salah has so much more of a goal threat.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that now because I mean, what do you think we'll see from West Brom now? Because if we look back at the defensive data for them, we should have mentioned it then. They are bottom in terms of minutes per XG conceded, XG every 46.4 minutes. So that is the worst in the Premier League at the moment, and that's probably one of the reasons why Big Sam's come in, because that is the stat you'd expect to change now. Because what we know about Sam is he prioritises defence. And he prioritises probably efficiency on set pieces. Is the cliche? Is that really what we can expect from him?
I was gutted, to be honest, when they sacked Bilic. Yeah, I mean, I lived in Birmingham for 5-6 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I wouldn't say I'm a West Brom fan, but I've always liked them. They it's that kind of area has a lot of memories for me, and you got Gemma Harrison on Twitter, someone I really admire, and I've always really liked the baggage, so and Slavan, he's just got such a personality about him. Like watching him doing the Euro commentary, and I know the thing with England, when he knocked, we can forgive that, but I really like him as a manager. And what I saw from West Brom against City was a team that were really, really playing for their manager and really wanted to get something and deliver. And there wasn't any part of me that thought this is a manager who's in trouble. I thought, this is probably where you expect West Brom to be, kind of in a relegation battle. They haven't got a particularly good squad. They've got a good manager. They're holding City now. They've got a strategy. They've got a plan. Yeah. So when he got sacked, I was actually quite upset. It was a shame. But Big Sam's going to come in, and I imagine he's going to do what he does at every team he's ever managed in the Premier League. He's going to focus on set pieces. He's going to tighten them up. He's going to, El Ghazi's probably going to be straight back in the team because he's the biggest player I think they've got in the squad.
Well,
He'll be straight back in at centre back.
It's Ajayi. I was on the official pod today,
Ajayi.
Ajayi got 6 goals, maybe even more than that in the Championship last season. And I said on the official pod that if he was looking for a goal scorer, he'd probably be earmarking Ajayi first and
He'd be
foremost
up front.
over Charlie Austin, because he'll just go, well, I've just got to get set pieces right and stick it on his head a few times, and we'll be fine. Maybe Chris Brunt needs to come back to deliver. But yeah, that's what we anticipate. It is a mystery as to, I can only think they don't trust Bilic for the window, and they see the window now as their last chance. It's a roll of the dice. Let's get Allardyce in with all his contacts. He'll get some frees in. What's JJ Kocher up to these days? That kind of thing. It's he's not going to pull those kind of signings out of it, is he? But I guess that's what they want with Sam. They want him to use his contacts to bring some old heads in, tighten up, get some efficiency. He is a results manager, isn't he? First and foremost, he's a results manager.
Yeah. So I had a look at Big Sam's record at Everton, because that was the job he had. He got very much maligned. He ended up finishing 8th with them, which is really a bad return. They had Silver in. They were struggling. They bought Sam in. He stabilised things and everything. But he was criticised because of the way he got them playing. Under Allardyce, they were ranked 20th in the league for shots on goal. This is Everton, so this is a top 8. This is a top 8 side. 20th for shots on goal, 19th for shots on target, 16th for passing accuracy, and 17th for shots faced. So they were still, they were awful, attacking, and they were still near the bottom for the amount of shots they were facing as well. But somehow he managed to get them winning games, 1-0, getting the draws up to 8th. So you say he's a results manager. It's exactly what it is. He doesn't care about the style. He doesn't, that means absolutely nothing to him. It'd be the ugliest game you've ever seen in your life. And if he gets a point out of it, he's probably quite happy.
If your man Pereira, he's going to be giving out the bibs. That's about it. All he'll be doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. He's not an Allardyce player, is he? It's like, hello, fella. What do you do? Well, I create chances. I dribble round. Yeah.
Yep, you're Ben.
Don't need any of that. Can you take a long throw? No. Get it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd feel if I was a West Brom fan. I guess if he saves you and you build from there, you love it, don't you? When you'll take the bad football and you'll take what you're about to see. But you will feel gutted, because Bilic to me was a gent, right? And I think you're right. For me, I always liked him as a man, and I don't like to see it when it looked like he had a fighting chance of keeping them up. I don't think he would have done, but I think he would have he still had a fighting chance. I guess
a 2-year plan for promotion. He gets them promoted in 1 year and gets sacked after. And it's not like they've lost every game. They're still well in it. I was like, it just doesn't sit right. But it strikes me of a chairman who doesn't really watch a lot of football and makes decisions based on. He looks at the table and goes, "Oh, we're not doing very well. Oh, 1-1 draw with City. That's not very good."
Money, it's money, right? And I think they think they've got more chance of staying at Allardyce, and they probably think they've got more chance of having a good window with Allardyce as well, because he'll get his contacts book out and he'll pull a few rabbits out of hats, I guess. We'll see. We'll see what he does. Let's look back to the player data, because I want to go back to this. This is the last 4 game weeks. Look at the name at the top of the list. Minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty, last 4 game weeks. Riyad Mahrez.
Come on, mate.
Riyad Mahrez has been expected to be involved in more goals than any other player over the last 4 game weeks. And yet, he had the big game week, and he was unlucky in the matches around that not to get more. How are you feeling now about Mahrez? What's your thinking?
Oh, I've got some thoughts on Mahrez.
Right.
I honestly think the reason City drew that game yesterday was not playing Mahrez, and I think if you look, what I can't understand, and it's something I talk about with some of my friends actually. I remember we watched a Champions League game and Pep played De Bruyne on the right wing. I think it was against Lyon or whoever knocked them out of the Champions League last year, and we were just thinking, why doesn't Pep just play strongest team like week in week out? And he definitely he's like an FPL manager. I think he overthinks things.
Yeah, he is.
Everything's too
he should
much.
Play FPL, and because he'd be on Twitter and everything with us, it'd be right fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Because at the moment, I honestly think in that team, a team that's kind of underperforming how they should be, I think Mahrez and De Bruyne are just so far among, far above everyone else in the team.
I was looking at that match going, this needs more Mahrez.
It's crying out for him. 60 minutes.
I don't understand it.
I know. I can't understand it. And I think from an FPL point of view, it's ridiculous because you can't keep a player who the manager doesn't have that faith in. If the manager isn't bringing him on after 60 minutes in a 1-1, if the manager is subbing him off against United, okay, he missed a good chance, but he was still... he subbed him off against United in that game. And I know he missed that 1-on-1 and it was ridiculous because he just needed a bit of lift just to take it over there, and it was stupid. But he was still creating chances in that game and he was still looking lively, and they bought him off and nothing changed. Like it got worse, if anything. And I look at Mahrez at the moment and I've said this before, at the moment it looks like he's in a vein of form for City where he could become one of, he could be hitting the best like form of his life, like for them.
Even better than the Leicester title winning form.
Well, possibly because he's playing with better players. He's playing in a team which has bigger aspirations.
You've got the
backing of someone like Pep.
Rewind. He's playing with Jesus, who you thought was terrible. So
Well, okay, forget about Jesus, but Rodri. Oh wait, Rodri's crap. Gundu. Oh no, he's crap as well. Okay, maybe sticking back with Leicester. I don't know, but there's a different kind of mentality, isn't there? Like Leicester, the underdog mentality compared to City,
and they're not playing on the break like Leicester did. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I just feel like it's a difficult one having Mahrez in my team because I don't really want to sell him because I feel like he's got Southampton. He's had a rest now. He's got Southampton next. I feel like he's important. I honestly, I feel like with Southampton and Newcastle next, and the form they're in, I feel like he is too important for them for Pep to drop. Yeah. But that said, do I think Pep will play him, start him in both of those games? No.
Why didn't he bring him on? Right, you're 1-1 with West Brom, and you're trying to get a goal, and you bring on Carl Walker just to piss me off. And don't bring on Mahrez. Why?
Must listen to BlackBox. He's an team as.
Why didn't he bring Mahrez? And I've got the only reason I can think that he didn't bring Mahrez on, and the only reason I can think of, and it's not going to go down very well, is that his plan A is to rest De Bruyne at Southampton, and he felt that he needed Mahrez completely untouched, ready to go. I'm not saying he will now because he can't. They've just dropped points, so he won't think about it. But I can only think in his mind, because I love playing this. I love trying to get into Pep's mind because he's so easy to predict.
Don't you?
He's so easy to read. Right? The only reason I can think of where he wasn't bringing on Mahrez was either that Mahrez is ill and just didn't feel well enough to come on. He's got a knock and wasn't fit enough, but then why is he on the bench? The only reason I can think of is he wants to keep him totally preserved for Southampton because he's going to be a big player for them. And then they could play Bernardo, they could play Mahrez, they could play Foden and possibly rest De Bruyne. That could have been in his mind. It's not going to happen now because they dropped points, so he can't afford to. But that's the only thing I can think of that was his plan. Yeah. Because when you're trying to break a team down, Mahrez is probably, in terms of players who can pull something out of a hat, up there with the very best, isn't he?
My counter argument would be, Mahrez had he'd started the last 3 games. He'd played in the Champions League, the kind of dead rubber, but then he was bought off early. But then at the same time, if you know that you're not going to bring Mahrez off the bench, why even play him?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Why put him there?
Why even put him on the bench? Sorry, like there's absolutely no reason to even have him on the bench because they're drawing against West Brom and you don't bring him on. Like when do you bring him on?
I don't know.
You're not going to bring him on if you're winning. You're not going to bring him on if you're drawing or losing to West Brom. It makes no sense whatsoever, and it's what's so frustrating. It's why I think, like, genuinely, I think like the only attacking player really that can be considered is De Bruyne, because it's just too much. Like, you watch that game and you just think, for God's sake, like, how has Mahrez not come on for? Mahrez, I'd rather have had 30 minutes of Mahrez against West Brom than 90 minutes of Mopé against Fulham. And okay, that's a very, like, Pep obviously is thinking. I've got to think about as his FPL team
who
here,
knows?
but like,
Who knows? What was he thinking?
but like, it's I just cannot understand why Mahrez didn't come on in that game. I like, there is no, and he got 60 minutes against United as well, so it wasn't like he played the whole 90.
No, that's right. What was he saving him? What is he saving him for? Was he having a nice chat with him and he thought, I want to keep chatting to you, so I'm not going to put you on? What was he thinking?
Well, I think he's pissed off with him. I think he was pissed off with him for missing the chance against United, and he's got this thing now, which is, you make a mistake and you get punished. So all I can hope is
it's not working, his policy.
Well, no, because it's stupid. Because players need confidence.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the big subject. We've had an hour. It's time to look at the double game weeks, blanks and doubles. Interesting here because we've got two different perspectives here, because you haven't got your wild card and I have. I'm trying not to look smug, but I've had a few drinks and I can't help it. Obviously, I've got a very different approach to this. Right now, I don't really care because I can think about it later, whereas you have got to start
great,
planning.
next.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't do that. You've got to look at this and go, right, what am I going to do? What is my thinking going to be going into this? So the graphic we've got up on screen shows, first of all, the teams that have got a fixture in Game Week 18. In order, and this is taken from Fancy Football Scouts Ticker, which is a great tool. Whoever came up with that, brilliant idea. Top is Man City, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Arsenal, Spurs, Wolves, Everton, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Brighton. These teams all have a fixture in Game Week 18, and Man City stand out on top. We've spoken about Man City just a few times tonight. They've got Brighton in Game Week 18 at home. So ideally, you're going to go into Game Week 18 with 3 City players. Now, I looked at your squad and I looked at mine. I've currently got 6 players who are going to be active in Game Week 18, although one of them is Brewster. Not sure that really counts. You've got 7, although one of them is Mitchell. Not sure that really counts. So right now, are you looking to free hit or are you not looking to free hit? That's the first question.
I mean, I've got to be honest, I haven't spent a massive amount of time looking at it. I did look at what players I have in what players I have in the blank game week and which players I have in the double game week, and it looks like my team at the moment is skewing towards having more players in the double. So looking at it kind of logically, I think it's going to be free hit in 18 and build my team for 19. So that is actually affecting the transfers that I'm thinking about making. So it makes players like it makes players like Adams and Ings and Liverpool defenders a lot more attractive. It actually makes players like Grealish less attractive because they've got the game in 18 and not in 9 and not the double in 19. And the same with City as well. So I think at the moment it's going to be a free hit in 18.
Now, can I change my mind on the basis that, now I'm quoting Ben Crellin here, who is he dabbles in fixtures. No, I can't say that again. He is he is the maestro when it comes to fixtures. Now, the double game weeks and the blanks is complicated. That is why Ben Crellin gets up in the morning, though. He lives for this, right? The complexity behind it, right? And he lives and breathes it. So everything we're about to say is from him. I can't take any credit from it. But there's a couple of things to consider here with the free hit Game Week 18, in that the FA Cup quarterfinals will come later in the season, and that will knock out more fixtures. And it's possible that the blanks there could be just as severe, if not more, when it comes. I think it's Game Week 29 where it could hit. So are you not thinking, can I get away with it this time? Given the fixtures, I mean, City play Brighton, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Newcastle. These aren't great fixtures. So when you're free hitting, you haven't got a banquet on which to feast on when it comes to building your free hit team. That's the problem. So is that crossing your mind at all?
No, but you would have the wild card, right? I would have the wild card later on in the season to deal with it.
But do you not want to save the wild card for double game weeks and then bench boost with that?
Yeah, but then the theory would be, I guess that. I mean, it's tricky. I mean, it's that kind of short term gain and long term pain. But I think when you've got, it feels to me that we've got the opportunity, or I've got the opportunity to build my team for a week and not worry about a potential banana skin for a lot of people. And you never really know what's going to happen like further down the line.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty. I mean, I think last season, I think I saved a lot of chips towards the end of the season, and it didn't really work out very well. I think there was less double game weeks than even the mighty Ben predicted, or there wasn't as many. Some teams got knocked out of the FA Cup, and the double game week wasn't as exciting as we kind of thought it would be. Yeah. So there's things around that. I mean, this is concrete information that we have, that these teams will blank and these teams will have a double. And that kind of sways it for me. I think just to use them now and to try and get ahead at this stage. And it could work. It could work one way where later in the season it might have been a better option to save. But I think what's the saying? A cat in the hand is worth two in the bush. That's not the saying.
Something like that.
That's not cat in the hand. Bird in the hand. That'd be a bird.
A cat in the hands could be quite uncomfortable, I imagine. But
yeah, you
don't want that. Not one of my cats either. I mean, the other thing, you're absolutely right. We know this information, right? We know this in advance. Whereas what we don't know is what teams are going to make it to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. And it could be that only a couple of Premier League teams make it. Who knows? We don't know. And also, we don't know how much time we'll have ahead of that blank to manage our transfers to cater for it. Whereas we do know how many game weeks we've now got before game week 18 to manage our squad for this. So I think if you don't have a wild card, you've got to choose one or the other. You've got to either aim your transfers at the blank or aim it at the double game week. And the right choice, I think, if you haven't got the wild card, is to aim it at the double game week, I think, and free hit in 18. So I think I'm with you there. But it'd be interesting to see what our free hit teams are when it comes to that, because the fixtures aren't brilliant. I think obviously you've got to make sure you've got a captain, so it's probably going to be either Son or Kane. Spurs play Villa away, or it's going to be a City player at home to Brighton. So you're probably going to, if you free hitting, you're going to have three of each from that team, I imagine. Yeah. So you'll have the choice if you free hit.
Well, then the exciting thing is in 19, it becomes triple hit. That's triple hit. God, I can't even
triple captain.
Triple captain.
Yes,
probably a triple hit as well, but triple captain territory, right?
Or bench boost. Now, where do you stand on that? What would you do? Say that you get 11 double game week players by then, right? That's probably not enough to bench. So you're not going to bench boost because you're not going to be able to go to 14. Now, I would probably look at bench boost because I can wildcard.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I'll throw it back to you.
Go on, then.
With the wildcard. Will you be looking to bench boost in this week? Cause,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We all know how incredibly powerful the bench boost is. Never fails, does it? Never fails. Never lets us down. No,
never any benchings or anything like that.
No, I'll get
early subs.
I'll get 15 players that play 2 games. Absolutely no doubt about it. No, I will bench boost with the theory that it will be effective because.
So when are you going to wild card? When's your wild card?
This is it. I'm going to wild card. We're going to have a live stream when I wild card because I promised we would, right? So I'm going to wild card
27th, right?
27th, right? And this is a funny story.
What a stream!
This is a funny. You'll love this because we're meant to have Pip's, my partner's half sisters and their family round that day, right, on the 27th, right? And so I've been trying to go. I in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, I don't really want a family affair going on when I need to be thinking about the wild card because I've got to play it that night and make all my transfers that night. Right? So I've been trying to use the COVID and the tier 3 thing to try and sow doubt and try to go, I'm not sure we need to.
I hope Pip's not listening to this.
She's probably going to hear me.
I knew it!
So I've been trying to say to her, do we need to take that risk having people round on the, we shouldn't be doing it. They're in London, they're coming into a tier 2, they're in tier 3.
I'm just not comfortable.
And basically, it's happened. I think I've swung it. I think it's worked. I don't think they're coming. So I think there's every chance I will get a clear day. Right?
So you've ruined Christmas, but you might have a successful wild card. That's good. That's good.
What does that matter? I've got to play with wild card that day, right? So basically, sorry, I've managed to, she's probably heard me and now she's ringing them up going, no, you're definitely coming.
You're coming, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I've got that day. That's all I've got. All I've got is 12 hours, right? So we're going to be streaming on the night of the 27th. And I'd have probably drunk even more at that point.
I'll get the beers in.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a crazy stream, I imagine. And I'm going to be picking my wild card for the double game week 19 with a view to bench boosting in 19 as well. That's what I'll be doing. But I guess you'll be looking at your transfers and making sure you're getting double game week players.
Yeah, see it's interesting because that's the difference now between us is that I'm looking at my transfers and thinking I need to maximize this. So it makes players like Ings and Adams, who are two players that I've been thinking of anyway, suddenly much more appealing because they've got that double, and I don't need to worry about the blank because that's probably when I'm going to be free hitting anyway. Yeah. So if only I had some kind of really crap 6 million striker that I could easily switch to a Southampton striker. Yeah, that's what I wish.
He's ready-made.
That's what I wish.
Let's look at the double game week fixtures though. So West Ham are top of the ticker with Burnley and West Brom at home. Now that was ironically the first double game week revealed was the fact that West Ham would play West Brom and they would have a double game week, and everyone got excited about West Ham, and I was like, oh well, don't get excited about West Ham because there's better to come. And then as it turns out, West Ham actually are the best team to look at over the double game week with those two fixtures. Leeds play Brighton and Southampton at home, and this is what's cool. Some of the teams have got 2 home fixtures because of the way that it breaks up. Chelsea have got Fulham and Leicester away, Liverpool, United and Burnley at home, West Brom, Wolves and West Ham away, Southampton, Leicester and Leeds away, United, Liverpool and Fulham away, Leicester, Southampton, Chelsea at home, Fulham, Chelsea and United at home, Burnley, West Ham and Liverpool away. So, which teams are you prioritising with your transfers, Mr. Az?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, like I said, I think Southampton are so good at the moment. The fact they're playing Arsenal, and I know Arsenal haven't been good, but you're looking at a 1-1 draw against Arsenal and thinking, Southampton should have won that game like quite comfortably.
They've gone up a level or two, haven't they?
They have, yeah. And I think the question marks are around who's better out of Adams and Ings. I mean, Ings is obviously 2 million more expensive, or 2.2, but has the penalties. But Adams is just chipping away every week, assists, goals, everything. So, there's questions around them. Liverpool as well. So, Robertson is still doing well. Another assist. I do still think though, if you can time Trent right, if you can get that transfer in, because no one's considering him at the moment. He's a kind of a ready-made differential, especially with Liverpool with the double.
He's going to be in my wild card, isn't he? You just know it. So
is he? Yeah, I don't blame you. But yeah, I mean the main one for me there is amazingly West Ham, because if Antonio's fit, he's got some weeks to finally get some fitness, hopefully, because he'll be straight in if he's fit. Souček and Kufal as well. I mean,
so that's what you're going to do. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, the players what you've got to do with this is you've got to target the talisman first, and it's the players that will get 2 games because of the fixture congestion and the turnaround, there will be rotation. But if you're looking at, I'm looking at Creswell and I'm thinking there's no way he gets rested, right? Kufal, to be honest, West Ham's rotation's going to be minimal. Kufal could, because they've got Fredericks, they've got Johnson. But I think Creswell, for me, would be the option because he's got the set pieces as well. Bowen, I look at Bowen, I think they're not going to play 2 games without Bowen. He's too important to them. Although they could. They've got Ben Rama, they've got Lanzini, they've got options. So their attacking players are much more difficult to target with some...
That's useful, Mark.
...assurity. They are, though, aren't they? That's it. They've got Benrahma,
They could all
Lanzini.
play. They couldn't play. They might not play.
Well, what do you feel about Bowen? Do you think Bowen is a good option? Because for me, I look at Antonio and go, it's a fitness doubt. He could get injured against Burnley and not play West Brom.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know if I'd risk him.
Antonio across any fixtures which are close together is going to be a risk because he just isn't putting the minutes together. I think Kufau is pretty safe because whatever system they play, he's kind of the linchpin of wing. He's a wing back. He's sort of the assist he got yesterday. I think he's really important to how they play now. It is. It's hard to predict, isn't it? You never know who's going to be benched. It's a lot of it's kind of result based. A lot of it's kind of system based. So it's hard to say. But yeah, I think Kufau and Souček are pretty safe options in that. Bowen, I really like Bowen, but is he consistent enough?
Oh no,
I mean, you got to think as well. You're wild carding, but these are players who, after this double game week, you're going to have in your team. It's not like they just disappear. Are you going to be happy with Jared Bowen in your team?
I'm going to have them for game week 17 as well. 16 and 17. So I'm going to wildcard after 15. So I've got 2 game weeks before I get to double. So I can't take too many chances, because what you could do if you're wildcarding like me is you could aim at the double game week and completely break your team, and then you're just trying to catch up in game week 19. So I've got to be wary of going too crazy.
It's exactly the same as me. I mean, if I focus all of my transfers on getting double game week players, I can miss single game week players who's like Grealish, for example. Grealish has suddenly come right down my priority list. But would I be surprised if he had a 10-12 pointer against West Brom? Not really. It's Derby, it's Grealish. He's had an amazing game tonight by all accounts, but hasn't actually raised any points. But it wouldn't surprise me if he got big points. So you have definitely got to weigh it up. You can't just. I think that's the problem, is you can be so focused on your target of, I need 11 double game week players for this game. I'm going to ignore everyone else. I'm going to bring in Danny Ings this week. Oh, he's got City at home. Oh, it doesn't matter if that'll be fine. Oh, Grealish got West Brom. Doesn't, what I mean? It's. Yeah. I've been guilty of it before. I guess it's a little bit easier for you because you've got the wild card. But yeah, like you say, you've still got those 2 game weeks to navigate.
And I mean, if we look at the ticker here and we look at game week 16, Spurs are at top of the ticker anyway in terms of fixture difficulty for goals over the next 6 game weeks. But in game week 16, which is the first game week, and game week 17, Spurs, although they don't have a double game week in 19, so I wouldn't necessarily be looking at their players. How can I not look at Kane and Son for Fulham and Leeds at home?
Leeds, I know, amazing.
So my strategy, I think, will be is I'm going to probably going to get Kane and Son with the wild card, and then my transfers from 16 onwards is to get them out ready for the double game.
Wow.
Well, I think I have to, don't I? I have to keep them for 16, 17, get them out for 18. Well, I can't because I'll be free hitting then, so I'm going to have to save 2 transfers to get them out for 19. But then they're at Sheffield United. I mean, we play
really
up. Yeah, we play up the double game weeks. I mean, every season we say this. We overplay the double game weeks. I mean, Granville, I don't know if he's still about. He always says this. We always put too much importance on double game weeks, and we also blow up the importance of the bench boost and the effectiveness of it. So we have got to be careful. So although I'm feeling quite good about having my wild card about to try and help me with this, I'm mindful of the fact that it's likely that I'll put too much stock into that double game week.
The thing is, it's just that thing though. If you nail it just right. I mean, last year I bench boosted with Delafeu, and I think he got 2 goals in the first game, and he ended up with about 17, 18 points, and I got about a 35 point bench boost, and my rank went from like 600k to like 110k or something. It was an absolutely massive thing. So yeah, we can overplay. And, we saw it with like triple captains like Mane last season, gets injured in the first 20 minutes and everyone's absolutely devastated. Like, it's horrible. But there are big jumps to be made if you get it right. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? We play this game for fun. We play this game to try and maximise our points. Like the double game weeks are exciting. I never want to be someone who's like, I'm going to underplay the double game week because I don't think there's many.
No,
I want to be like, yeah, I'm going to attack them. I'm going to get 40 points for my captains. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and the other thing is, the hardcore player lives for double game weeks because we presume that I hate to say this, the casual player will not use it and exploit it to the full.
Or have already used it. They've used it game week 1.
They've used the chips.
Random bench boost for 3 points. It's
so we see this as an opportunity. It's like, I follow Ben Crellin. I know what I've got my chips. I'm going to be able to get an advantage here. And so the arrogance sometimes of the hardcore player is, the double game week is what's going to turn my season around, and I'm going to use my chips effectively, and the casual players aren't going to know what they're doing, and I'm going to catch up. We've got to be wary of overplaying that, but I that's what happens, and Twitter will be all about that, and I'm sure we'll be talking on those terms because we can't help but get excited about it, and that's just the way it is. One thing that I should say is this is not final yet, and Ben said on his Twitter recently that it's worth noting that depending on the EFL Cup results the week after this game week, there could be additional fixture changes that could affect the blanks, as in I think it's Burnley, Man United could possibly drop into game week 18 yet. So there could be more changes to come, depending on those. So if you're, keep watching this show for more information on that, because we're going to keep ripping it off of Ben Crellin and telling it to you now as if it's our ideas and our research, because it's not, it's Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, it's a complex situation, and we're going to be talking about it for the next couple of shows. Well, the next show, which will be on the 23rd, and then the one after that will be the drunk wild card on the 27th.
Can't wait for that.
I just hope that the family aren't coming around after all, but
I hope they're all there in the background.
No, can't be doing that. Let's look at the game week fixtures then. Let's talk through these. I did think this is where Jay excelled himself, because he actually started analysing what was going to happen. He didn't just pick scores out of the thin air. He actually did you spot that? He analysed what was going to happen.
That's why we're not getting him back on. It's too much analysis.
No, I didn't like that. But let's try and.
I got a couple right last week,
yes.
though, so I was quite happy with mine. Yeah. Not that we record them, but I did quite well, I think.
We don't record them for obvious reasons. Let's look at Saturdays first of all. The early kickoff. Now, some will go into this with Salah as captain. We'll talk about captaincies in a bit, but Palace versus Liverpool. It looks on paper to be tricky given Palace's form, and they're going to sit deep and try and catch them on the break with Zaha, Eze, not Benteke because he's suspended. So my instinct says that it's not it hasn't got good memories for them. Selhurst Park, obviously. I think it's a Liverpool win, but I don't think it's by more than 1 or 2 goals. So, what's your thinking here?
Yeah, I completely agree. And the one good reason was I thought that Spurs game for against Palace was going to be really tricky because it really didn't play to their strength. So I predicted the draw for Spurs in that and got it. But I think Liverpool, like we saw last night, have just got a bit too much. Like they had a bit too much for Spurs in the end. So I agree with you. I think it's going to be a Liverpool win. What I like about Palace though is I look at their team now and because they had all the injuries at the start of the season, it was difficult to know kind of how they'd shape up. It now looks like a Hodgson. It looks like the team that he wanted at the start of the season. Like he's got Eze now on the left, Zaha's up front. They've got like the defence sorted. Like Van Aanholt's back, and I don't know. It just feels like he's now happy, and there's a good feeling
there's more
around
about them. Eze has made a difference. He's taken the pressure off of Zaha. If Benteke is confident now, then that carries a threat at last. I like Palace now, actually.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't want to. If I was any team in the league, I wouldn't want to be going to Selhurst Park at the moment. No. I reckon like a 1-0 Liverpool.
Yeah,
like really narrow win.
I think that. I think they might get 2-0 on going for Southampton, Man City. Then, first of all, do you see Southampton scoring? Because I'm carrying 2 City defenders into this, probably. So, do you see Southampton scoring in this game?
I think, yeah.
You do?
I think if I'm looking at teams in the league who I think can get at City, and actually I didn't really give West Brom a chance because I thought if you've got a team like West Brom or Burnley or someone like that who just sits back so deep, doesn't really try and play. Eventually, City will just find a way through. But I think this one is interesting because Southampton aren't just going to defend like how Bruce is going to set Newcastle up or how Bilic said West Brom up. They're going to attack. I think they'll get a goal. I think City will win it. I think it's going to be 2-1 City. I think they will have enough, but again, I don't think it's going to be easy for them.
No, and it could be that Southampton get something from this. I'm tempted to go 1-1, but I'm going to go that City win. I think it'll be 2-1. I'd like to keep a clean sheet there, but I think you're right. I think they'll nick it with a goal conceded low. Everton Arsenal. Now, I was on the official pod today, and Adrian Clark, who is an Arsenal fan, said he is considering captaining Calvert-Lewin. That's how much he is confident in his own team.
Wow.
Now, they haven't got Gabriel, of course, because he's suspended, so there is disruption at the back for Arsenal. So you can kind of see the logic that Calvert-Lewin will cause some problems. And I do fancy Everton here. After seeing how they played at Leicester, suddenly I'm thinking, well, maybe there's defensively they're not that weak, and Arsenal don't offer too much in attack, but then they clicked a bit in the second half. I'm going to go 2-1 to Everton here.
Wow,
I think Calvert-Lewin will do well, actually. I think I'm glad I've kept him now, given that this will be a game I think he'll flourish in. What's your thinking?
I think Arsenal losing to Southampton and getting a player sent off and managing a draw out of it is especially against Southampton, who are a really good side, was a really big result for them. And I know, Arteta kind of said, this is a big result for us. And everyone's like, you should be beating Southampton, all that. But really, I think, any team that's 10 men against Southampton with 20, 30 minutes to go would take a point. I mean, as a Brighton fan, obviously, but it's any player, any team would. They're really good. They're really, really good at the moment, Southampton. So yeah, it's all great to them. But Everton are in a good run of form at the moment. They, getting the result against Chelsea, beating Leicester. I mean, 2 games where it could all have fallen apart, really, given what's happened before them. So yeah, I think. I don't know. It's a hard one to call. I'm just going to go 1-1.
You were going I knew it.
Long-winded way.
Why do we bother? I don't know. Brighton Sheffield United 0-0. Brighton Sheffield United.
Oh, you missed one. You've missed the mighty.
Oh, sorry, Newcastle.
Probably the best game of the week.
Newcastle Fulham.
Fulham, right?
It's the 8 o'clock kickoff on the Saturday evening, so you can concede and let this one go, perhaps. But actually, I don't know. I think Fulham are a good team to watch. So this is an interesting game, actually, because Wilson, you think, should get some joy against Fulham. But I've been impressed with what Parker has done over recent weeks, and I don't think this is an easy game for Newcastle at all. I can see Fulham causing Newcastle problems as well. They've got quick and nimble players. I like Lookman a lot, and Lookman is a player I'm actually considering this week. I'll talk more about some of the variations of transfers I could make, but Lookman is a player I could get in this week. I'm going to go 2-1 Fulham here. I think Newcastle will score, but I think Fulham will catch them on the break at least a couple of times.
Yeah, it was a weird game against. I said it was a weird game. It wasn't a weird game. It's exactly like every Brighton game I think I've watched this season. Brighton play really, really well, create loads of chances, do everything right, can't score, and then about the 70th minute, completely forget how to play football, and Fulham come at them, chance. They were lucky to get the 0-0, to be fair. I was quite impressed with Fulham, and I have been quite impressed with them. I think defensively they look better. Newcastle were all over the place. You never really know what you're going to get. I think it's going to be a Fulham win. I'm going to go 1-0 Fulham.
I've both predicting the Fulham win there then. And Brighton Sheffield United. Now, did you see Ryan got rested again? Now he played for 3 years.
Rested.
He played for 3 years and then he got a rest. I think didn't Potter say that he's played for 3 years solidly. Now, he didn't leave it that long before he rested him again. What do you make of that? I mean, does he have doubts about him? Because I know you've been speaking about Ryan and saying that actually he's been in poor form. Is that?
Well, let me give you some stats.
Go on then. I mean, we don't really like stats on this show, but go on. I'll forgive
yeah. Well, Ryan has made 16 saves this season, and he's conceded 19 goals. Okay,
It's poor.
so he's conceded more goals than he's made saves, and you might say, well, maybe that's fairly normal. Blah blah blah. Okay, Sam Johnston, 56 saves, 26 goals. Fabianski, 40 saves, 16 goals conceded. Melier, 48 saves, 24 goals. Kepa has
The lesser
conceded.
spotted Kepa, yeah.
Kepa has conceded less goals than he's made saves. Edison. So you might be thinking, okay, Brian, they're a team who might, just
They
concede
restrict
like good
the opposition,
chances,
yeah.
or might. Edison has made 20 saves, and they've conceded like what 6 or 7 goals.
So what
all
you're
season.
getting at
Every
is Ryan
keeper
has outperformed.
you can't have a goalkeeper in your team who doesn't make saves. You haven't got to be a goalkeeping expert to know that. He has been our best player for years, but it is absolutely right that he's dropped.
And Sanchez played well.
Cannot make a save.
Sanchez
he did.
played well,
he was brilliant.
didn't he? He did
He was
really
brilliant.
well. Yeah.
Ryan's not going to be back.
Right.
For a bit.
You heard it here
if you've got
first.
him, get rid of him.
I think it's Jeff. Jeff's got him in goal. I spotted that today. Jeff Dance has got him in goal. He was unlucky.
He's got to go.
Jeff Dance had Conser, who was rested, and Ryan, who was rested. And so Jeff would be worried about his keeper then. He should be worried. Do you think Ryan won't play?
There's absolutely no reason why he should.
No, okay.
He might be back, but there's no reason why he's done absolutely nothing all season to justify a spot in the starting team. He's been awful.
So Sheffield United scored tonight. Do you think Brighton will keep a clean sheet against Sheffield United on Sunday?
It's really hard to predict with Brighton. We're so.
Surely.
I don't trust us to keep a clean sheet against anyone. So no, I don't.
Okay,
think
so
we will.
you're predicting what, a 2-1, a 1-1? Not a 1.
1-1. I'm gonna go 1-1.
God,
I don't believe it, but I'm gonna go 1-1.
Okay, I'm going to go 1-0 Brighton. I don't think Sheffield United can score in this game. I'm going to put faith in that data that shows that Brighton don't concede big chances, and that is why Ryan doesn't make saves, because when they do let a chance through, it's a good quality chance that Ryan has no opportunity to save. I'm going to stick up for him.
Yeah, he's a great goalkeeper. You're right.
No,
he is a good goalkeeper. He's just in a bad patch.
Form, yeah.
How do you stick with a goalkeeper like that? Is there such an important position?
Spurs Leicester, right? So how do they approach this game? Because Leicester are going to turn up, and Rodgers is no fool. He's going to know exactly what to expect from Son and Kane. So surely he's going to try and stop it, you'd think. He's got players to do it. Indeed, he can sit on Kane and stop that happening. He's got some pacey fullbacks who will stop Son taking wide areas and tucking inside from that. You'd think they've got the ability to stop Spurs playing that. This is what I don't understand, right? We know exactly what to expect from Spurs. So if we know it, opponents' managers must surely know it and start thinking, how can I stop it? And yet it doesn't seem to be happening. But Rodgers, I think, is a manager I would say is one of the managers I put faith in that could put a stop to it. So I worry a little bit here about Spurs. But, it's Son and Kane who are like almost superhuman.
I'd be a much more confident Kane owner than a Son owner.
Why
in this game.
would you say that? Because that's interesting to me. Go on.
Yeah, I think like possession wise, I think Leicester are gonna sit back. They're not going to let them counter on them like other teams we've seen do. And like you say, they've got players like Ndidi when you've got a player like Ndidi in the team who can just get everywhere, like he can make tackles all over the pitch, it makes you so much less susceptible to getting done on the counter. So I think Son's going to maybe be used in a slightly different way. I don't think he's going to be like the furthest forward, always hugging the line.
So he's going to be out wide, do you think, maybe?
I think he's going to be further out wide. And it's going to be Kane who they're looking to really dictate things, to get forward and to make things happen. And I think that's going to be the case in the Wolves game as well. So I think a lot of people are kind of not panicking, but thinking I need to get Son in now. But honestly, I think it's Kane for the next two who I'd want, and I don't have him. Which sucks. Also, Kane's record against Leicester is amazing. He gets goals every time he plays against them.
That was the big game, wasn't it? The 5 goals or the 4 goals away from home.
Yeah, I think he's the best captain option this week. If I had Kane, I'd be captaining him for sure.
It's a gutsy call. I will go a Spurs win by the odd goal. I'm going to go a 1-0 win for Spurs here. What are you
I'm
thinking?
going to go 2-0 Spurs.
United Leeds, which I want this to be the game of the season. Yeah, on paper.
Yeah, what a game.
You got to think that Leeds will turn up. There's a lot at stake because there's no love lost between these two teams or the supporters. So you got to think that both teams are going to go into this and go hell for leather. And given the defences and given the attacks, I'm expecting a lot of goals. Now it might not turn out like that, but 4:30 kickoff. This is a game I want to definitely watch. So I want to be back from the Garden Centre for this. I make that joke every week. It's getting worse every week. I want to be back from the Garden Centre for 4:30 to watch what I think will be a 3-2. Now it could go either way. I think Leeds could even nick this. You just don't know what to expect from them. Like I look at Bamford and think Bamford is a player that you can't look at a fixture and go, that's a bad game for him, because you don't know what Leeds are going to turn up. They're not going to go into that United game and go, we're going to sit back and catch them on the break. They're going to just go at them, I think. So Bamford could profit again. I think there'll be at least 4 goals in this game, maybe more. I'm going to go, I think Leeds might nick it. Let's go for that. I'm going to go Leeds win.
Wow.
3-2. What do you think?
I'm going to go for United win.
Yeah, that's sensible.
Yeah, I think there's going to be goals in there. I don't think United are like solidly. They're just. I mean, it's weird today. They played Henderson. They dropped De Gea for the first time in a while. Henderson made a blunder within the first 5-10 minutes
back
of
at
the
his
game.
Old stamping ground as well.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I don't trust them. I don't particularly like Lindelof. I don't particularly like Maguire. I don't really like them defensively anyway. I think Leeds will cause a lot of problems for them early on. Then United will start to kind of stamp their authority on it a bit. So I'll go for a 2-1 United.
2. You're going to play.
There you go. Even more Leeds to get an early goal, and United to eventually win out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be, as I say, 4 or 5 goals in this, and it could go either way. I'll go with Leeds just for the fun of it. But when we look at the captains, Bruno's got to be in there. More on that in a bit. West Brom, Aston Villa now. Big Sam's first start as manager. I'm not expecting. I mean, we're expecting a bounce, but a bounce would be a 0-0, wouldn't it? Let's face it. Now,
would be for him.
I mean, I said this on the official pod. What tactics do you think he's got in mind for Grealish? Because if you stop Grealish, you stop Villa, I would say.
So you don't think Barkley's going to be back?
Well, I hope so. That would be great. I mean, I think this is a kind of game where they need him back. If he's not back, then Allardyce is going to try and come up with something to try and stop.
I think it probably involves a lot of fouls and a lot of
Well, this is
elbows.
what I'm getting at. Now, Grealish, interestingly, tonight was in a different role. He wasn't out on the left-hand side. He was tucked in as a number 10 and coming and getting the ball deep. He still did enough. It wasn't like it curtailed his threat, I wouldn't have said. It was a different role. If he's playing in that role against West Brom, you're going to get Livermore, who's going to be all over him, I think. Because he's a hitman, and Allardyce is going to say, right, do what you have to do to stop Grealish playing, I think.
Yeah.
If he's out on the left, it's actually probably more difficult for West Brom to contain him, I would say. They double up on him, but even that might not be enough. So I think it probably would be if Barkley is fit and Grealish is out on the left, that would be better for Villa, I would say. Because I think he's going to be easier to crowd out and shut down if he's central. I'm still going to go a Villa win. I think they win this 2-0, I would say.
Interesting.
Yeah. Go on then. What do you reckon, Az?
It's difficult. I mean, the Villa, that's now 2. I mean, they scored 1 goal against Wolves, didn't they? And then they've blanked tonight. So they're not exactly free scoring at the moment. And I think it does, like you said, it does coincide with Barkley not being in the team. It's amazing, I think, the impact he's had on just unlocking everyone in everyone else. Tricky one. I mean, how long is Sam going to have to really stamp his tactics on the team? He's only been here for a couple of days. But they did show, I mean, are they going to have that same fire that they showed against City, playing for Big Sam, when there's a lot of negativity around the club and stuff? I think Villa will win it. I think it's going to be a 1-0 Villa. I think it's going to be a scrappy, horrible game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. We don't know how the players feel about Bilic leaving as well, because, you said you're gutted. I'm upset about it. I don't know how Gemma feels about
They
it.
were
I don't
playing for
think
him. They were playing for him in that game.
Yeah, exactly. So the players will take some time, I think, to come round. I mean, Allardyce comes in with reputation, of course, right? And he will get the best from them, I think, in terms of results. But I don't think it's going to be instant. And I think, the Villa's a game which has more to it. There's a rivalry there. Grealish always plays up in derbies. That's the thing. He always delivers in a derby. He always has a good game. He very rarely has a bad game, full stop. So he's the key man again. And I think a lot has to do with where he plays. If he plays central, like I say, I think it'd be easier for Allardyce to shut him down. I don't think he will. I think Smith will put him out on the left again.
Yeah.
If Barkley's fit. El Ghazi's a pain, isn't he? Because he's come in, he's shifted Grealish to central, and he's on pens. So I don't want that. That's annoying.
It's interesting with Grealish because I, as I said, I always intended to bring him kind of back in for Mahrez as soon as he was thing, but he hasn't really. I was, in a way, if he'd scored tonight and got 3 bonus and got like 9 points or something, it would kind of force my hand to bring him in. But because he's blanked again, I'm kind of thinking maybe I can give it a little bit more. But
I think he'll do well here. I think he always turns up in a derby, loves it. I mean, there's virtual fans, but he still, if he does anything, he'll like to get at the West Brom fans, I think. Burnley Wolves, not sure I'm going to be watching this one at 5:30 on a Monday. I mean, Burnley, bless them, resolute again. I mean, they got away with it. Well, I mean, I want to write off Burnley and say they're whipping boys, but they're not really. They don't get badly beaten apart from when they play Man City. Wolves turning up.
Beating Arsenal away is an amazing.
Yeah,
considering the resources that
I mean,
Dyche. I mean, we know how good Dyche is as a manager, but they've literally got. Their main signing was Dale Stephens this season. Like, how they are competing with the other teams in the league who are spending 20, 30, 40 million on players.
They've got a method of play and they know what they're doing and it's effective still.
He's unbelievable, that guy. I tell you, Sean Dyche is... he is one of the best managers in the league. There is so few managers who could be doing what he's doing.
The thing is with Dyche, I still think that clubs who would look at him and go, "What would he do with a budget? What would he do if he could make transfers?" And we may never know because he might be at Burnley to the end of his career at this rate. But I would love to see.
Look at Allardyce. I sent Tosin for 27 million or whatever it was.
Yeah, still waiting for that to come good. I do think I'd love to see Dyche at a club with some money to see what he is capable of doing, because you're absolutely right, he deserves a lot of credit. Wolves turn up though with Neto and Podence in a bit of form. I think they nick this. I think they nick it 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0. What are you going for?
I'm going to go 1-0 as well. Yeah,
okay.
I think they'll just have a little bit too much for me.
Yeah. And Chelsea West Ham. I want to watch this game. This could be very good indeed. London derby, of course. Evening kickoff on a Monday night. Just what we want. I'm going to go into this with Chilwell and James, so I'm going to hope for a clean sheet. I'm not sure I'm going to get it. I think I'm going to back it though. I think I'm going to go 2-0 West Ham. What I would like to say to you is, Havertz still far from convinced. You're shaking your head. I'm actually now thinking, I know he's got potential. I'm actually looking at it and thinking, I'm seeing some cracks. Like, there was an incident the other night where Havertz should have laid off a pass to Reece James, should have timed it well, should have weighted it correctly, and he didn't. And Reece James turned around and had a go at him, and Havertz just didn't acknowledge it, he just ignored it. And it was like the new boy at school. It was like, I looked at it and think, this guy doesn't seem to fit in, not only in terms of the system, but even in the team. I don't know that they actually have taken a shine to him even as a person, maybe. I don't know. There's something there that makes me think he's not settled at all. And Lampard is covering the cracks a bit. So I've got real concerns about Havertz. There could be more to come, but I'm not convinced at all.
I think he's a complete passenger. Honestly, I think Lampard has got a very difficult... And I think it's almost the same with Werner. I mean, Werner has at least shown some promise, but he's really putting a lot of faith in both of them, and neither of them are really delivering week in, week out. And I'm not surprised to see them getting a couple of bad results.
They were the two weakest players in that match. Yeah, they were the most ineffective players on the pitch. Werner doesn't know what he's meant to do in that position, and I think you were saying no one's passing to Werner, and the reason why they don't pass to Werner is he doesn't hold on to the ball well enough. his ball
No.
retention is pretty bad.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he is suited to playing out on the left.
No, he's clearly not.
And I know, like Giroud is doing great, and they've got Abraham and stuff who's supposed to bring these players in, but I don't think it really suits him. But Werner, I can let off a little bit because he's always got that pace to beat players and create something kind of out of nothing. We've seen it, where he runs past everyone and just lays it off and stuff. At least you've always got that option. Havertz, though, I haven't seen anything from him. Literally, in every Chelsea game I've watched, I haven't seen anything from him to make me think this is a guy who Lampard should be persisting with. And if I was Kovacic on the bench, losing out every week to Havertz, I would be livid. He was a player of the season last year. Like, I could, if I was Kovacic, I'd be saying I could bring so much more to this team than Havertz is. Like, I'm more dynamic, I've got a better shooting range, I've got better passing range, I've got more energy. I don't know how much longer Lampard persists with him. I think his days number. But I think they need to unlock it to really take them up to the next level because of the potential he's got.
Yeah,
I don't really know how they do it.
To really challenge the title, they've got to get more out of Werner and Havertz.
Yeah.
And Pulisic is back now, he's fit and he will click. Right? We know what we're going to get from him. He's showing signs. But the Werner and Havertz, I just not seeing it at all. And I think it's only a matter of time. Like, once Ziyech is fit again, I think Werner's not going to get in the team because I don't think you find a place for him because Pulisic has got to play, Ziyech has got to play, and you've got Giroud and Abraham at the moment who are probably ahead of Werner for the central role because I haven't seen enough from Werner in terms of holding on to the ball, keeping the ball, laying it off to think he can play the central role. If he does play the central role, they're going to have to change the way they play because they've got used to playing with an Abraham or a Giroud who can bring other players into the game. When they stick Werner there, he isn't going to be able to do that, I don't think.
No, I mean, they bought Werner to play up front. They didn't buy Werner to go on the left. They've already got Pulisic there. It makes no sense. They've already got, they knew from last season they've already got like probably one of the best left wingers in the league in Pulisic. So why would they buy Werner to play him there? They obviously wanted to play him up front, but they've realised now that actually he doesn't quite fit that mould. That's why they're playing Giroud and Abraham. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what Lampard does. I think if you've still got Werner in your FPL team, you have to sell him.
Well, late riser
I can't say that strongly enough. I think he has to go.
I noticed late riser sold him and said it's not a good buy because I'll probably get him back later in the season. I'm not sure you will, late riser. I don't think you will. I'm not convinced yet. I mean, I think it's not long before Werner's start is in question once Ziyech is back. And I may be wrong, and we can play this back in 10 weeks' time when Werner's got 5 goals in two or three games.
He's a class player.
Yeah,
like he's an absolutely brilliant player, but it's the system,
Doesn't
isn't
fit
it?
the system, no.
Do he and Havertz fit the system that Lampard's got? No,
Not yet.
Is Lampard going to change the system to accommodate them? It doesn't look like it because he's brought in Giroud and still playing the same kind of formation that he's stuck with. So at the moment, it's a no-go.
But I do think they can win this game. I think
that said,
well, I think they can. I think Pulisic and Giroud are players that can hurt opponents, and I think they'll have just about too much at West Ham. I'd like to think it's going to be a 2-0, but I'll go a 2-1 here.
I'm going to go 2-2. I don't think
West Ham will get a couple of goals against Chelsea defence.
All right. I don't know. I think West Ham have got. I think you're looking at systems. You're looking at Chelsea and thinking, I don't know where these players fit into this system. I look at West Ham. No matter what system they play, I think these guys know exactly what they're doing. Their roles are so clear. Moyes, I never thought he'd do well this year.
I like Moyes.
I thought West Ham.
Liked him.
Yeah, I thought he'd be the first manager sacked with the run of fixtures they had, with the players he brought in, with everything that's going on. I didn't give him a chance, but he has got this team nailed down. They know their roles, they know their job, they know exactly what to do, and I think that's going to counter Chelsea's.
Haller overhead kick the other night as well. The minute he scored that goal, everything he did was better. He's another one like Benteke, I think, who will feed off that, so he could be a threat. All right, okay, you're going to go 2 or I'll go 2-1. Let's look at our game week GW14 situation. What are you doing then? Your captain is on Fernandes. You've got Martinez, Chilwell, James, Lamptey, Salah, Fernandes captain, Son, Mahrez, Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, Mopay. I'll say it again.
Mopay.
I've got a feeling I know where your transfer's going. What are you up to?
Yeah, Mopay's going.
Right.
So this is the end of the road. This is the end of the road for Neil Mopay, I'm afraid to say. So the easy move. I mean, to be fair, I thought Sheffield United at home might be quite a good game for him, but then he literally didn't play against Fulham, so he's dead to me now. So the easy move is just a nice simple Mopay to Adams switch.
Yep.
It gets me the double game week player. It gets me tapped into the Southampton attack who I really like. It's pretty nice. The other move would be to do Mahrez and Mopay to Ings and Grealish.
Quite like
Grealish
that.
back
but
in.
Then Mahrez is going to start at Southampton, right?
Which is a -4, and and that's the thing. And then again with Newcastle at home, I think the trouble with Mahrez is that he puts you in that difficult position because he could do well, or he could not play at all. Whereas at least with Grealish, he's going to start, and B, he's going to do quite well.
Mahrez will start at Southampton. If he doesn't start at Southampton, there's something wrong.
I think my plan is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Mopay to Adams, and then next week I'll be able to do Mitchell up to Cancelo or Diaz for the Newcastle game.
Mitchell. Right.
Yeah, so I've got loads of money in the bank. I've got like 2 million in the bank. So that would get me a Southampton attacker for the thing. It means I could keep Mahrez for Newcastle, and it means I could get a City defender in, because I do think City defence, the way they're set up, they're going to keep a hell of a lot of clean sheets. So it's either Diaz, you get the regular starts, the 6-pointers are probably going to keep coming in, but with Cancelo you get that slightly elevated potential, but you get the risk.
He's a bit more sexy, isn't he? He offers that in a match.
He's a bit more sexy.
I really like watching him play because he tucks inside. He gets forward and he comes inside. He's not out wide, so he's involved in that interplay, and he has got a hole in him, but it's just not arrived so far. Let's look at my team because this.
So what would you do then? Would you do my -4? Would you do my
going back to your team? I wouldn't sell Mahrez, no, because I just think Mahrez is the kind of player that could explode, and Southampton is a team he can hurt, definitely. And I think he has to start, right? You couldn't be more assured of his start than the fact that he didn't come on against West Brom. And I think whether he plays against Newcastle the week after will depend on whether he plays in the EFL Cup. I think they've got an EFL Cup tie, haven't they? So I wouldn't sell Mahrez. I think it's too risky. I think Grealish,
Adams it is then.
I think Grealish and Ings could definitely return, but it's a risk if you're selling Mahrez, I would say. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I go into my team. I'm even thinking of bringing Mahrez in, right? I could do...
No way.
No, seriously, I could do... I've got 2 transfers, and I am looking at this thinking, I don't know where I can even make one transfer here, right? I've got McCarthy in goal, Chilwell, James, Cancelo, Walker, Fernandes, De Bruyne, Salah, Grealish, Bamford and Calvert-Lewin. Where's my transfer? I've got to make one because otherwise I lose it. What would you do there? Because there's some options, right? I can go De Bruyne to Mahrez, Brewster to Giroud, for example. But then who would I drop to play Giroud? I don't know. So to use one transfer, I've either got to look at McCarthy and think, well, they're not going to keep a clean sheet. Let's get another goalkeeper in. But I've only got 4.6 is my budget. So I could get Meslier in at United, but what's that going to do? Johnston in against Villa, but then I've got Grealish, so I don't want to do that. The other option I'm doing is Cancelo and Walker, one of them might not play. Now, Walker didn't start, so I'm thinking that Walker is perhaps the most likely to start of those two. But I think Cancelo could start at left back because I think he's too good not to play. So I think both of them could start at Southampton. If one of them didn't start, my sub is Souček at Chelsea. What I could do is strengthen that, and I'm looking at maybe going Ayling to, wait for it, Webster, who is playing Sheffield United.
Oh, God, no.
I know, because
No,
that's how
no.
sexy it gets, right? Webster, because
No.
listen, hear me out. Sheffield United weak at set pieces. Brighton haven't scored from a corner yet, I know, but I think there's a weakness there. Webster would be my reserve defender. I've only got 0-1 in the bank. All right, so what would you do then? Just let the transfer go?
You are one of the most decorated FPL managers there is. Please do not get Webster.
I can see the chat going crazy. What would you do? What would you do? Because what do I do? Do I be arrogant enough to go, well, I've got 2 transfers, but I'm just going to burn one because I don't need to make one? I mean, I could do, if I thought that Cancelo or Walker wasn't going to play, I could go to Diaz. But I actually
if I was you,
yeah, go on.
If I was you, and I did give you some good advice last time. I just played Souček over Riley. Very rare. You got to think. I think when I look at a team like this, and I've said it before, is who was like a Premier League team's strongest team, and I think at the moment Walker isn't in City's strongest team, because I think their strongest team is Cancelo at right back and Mendy at left back.
No. Do you think that? I think it's.
Do you think it's Walker at right back and Cancelo at left back?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I don't know about Walker. I think he's over 6 million. He's one of the most expensive defenders in the game. I think he is. I think looking at that team, he probably is the weakest link. He'd be the one that I'd be looking to take out. I think you could do Walker to like Kufau, or he's got Chelsea, isn't he?
I'd just go to Diaz, couldn't I? Because Diaz surely plays against Southampton.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Walker, looking at that team, Walker to me is the one.
But Walker didn't play against West Brom, so why do you think he won't play against Southampton? That's what I don't understand. You know, I don't really understand why that would be the case. Oh, we've lost you there. Can you hear me now? Have you unmuted? Oh, we lost you. We've gone over something.
I'm back.
That's it. You're back. Right.
I'm back.
Don't know what happened there. That was a bit odd.
Squadcast just ended.
Yeah, it did. It's fine. We're back now. So
it was your mention of Webster. I think
it crashed. Yeah, I Walker didn't start against West Brom, so I just think I'm hesitant taking him out because it could be Cancelo who gets rested. It could be Walker and Mendy. It's very, very difficult. I've got myself into a hold here, and I really don't know.
Yeah, you have a bit.
I know. And yet,
I don't like Walker. He's too much. Okay. He's too much for the thing we liked about Walker was you pay 6 million, and he's going to start every week. And now you're paying 6 million, and you're worried every week if he's going to play. To me.
Yeah. So you think it's going to be Walker that I
Walker to Diaz, I think would be a good move. I think.
You don't think Diaz has got a rest coming then? You think he's just going to flog him?
Probably. He's played literally every minute. He probably has, but he is going to play. He'll get his rest and then he'll play every minute.
And he'll play the Newcastle game for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at captains briefly then, because we've nearly done 2 hours. I think we're going to
2 hours.
Yeah.
Bloody hell! Wow.
There's more people. There's 1,200 people watching. It's fine.
Like and sub, please.
Yeah, like and sub. Yeah, do it early. So, the captain matrix. Just looking ahead at this. Obviously, we've got the double game weeks in there now, and Salah, I think, is the standout captain. I think we agreed that for game week 19. But before that, looking at the highlighter captain, it's Fernandes against Leeds. You could get away with Kane and Son, I think, at home to Leicester.
Yep.
And then you're going Salah, De Bruyne, Kane, Son for the Fulham game. So you kind of want your Spurs covered there. So it's quite tricky because actually Spurs 16 and 17, we've talked about not playing your wild card or making your transfers to cover the double game week. And as we've said, Kane and Son don't have that double game week, but they're the best captains for 16 and 17. So this is the problem that we've got. I mean, are you going to keep Son with that in mind?
Well, I'm half tempted to be thinking about ways of losing Son for Kane.
Right, so you're going to make the swap.
Even though Son's done well for me, I have turned to your way of thinking, which you said a few weeks ago, because I kept Son, you had Kane, and you ended up losing both of them somehow, which I was amazed you sold Kane.
Yeah, very reluctant.
Yeah, but I am starting to think Kane is the better option. So I've been happy with Son. His returns have been great. He delivers pretty much every week. But if I'm looking at one going forward, I think I would probably keep Kane. And this week, I honestly think if you've got Kane, I think he's the best captain.
Yeah. You think Kane this week over Fernandes?
Yeah, I do.
Right. Well, let's look at the data for that. I mean, at the moment, you've got to say the case for Fernandes is based mainly on Leeds' defensive data. The last 4 game weeks, Leeds have conceded a big chance every 25 minutes. Right. So that's huge. Right. So you got to look at that and think they're going to concede four big chances to United, maybe more, based on the data of the last 4 game weeks. So that is why Fernandes leaps out. It's not because of his individual data, because when you look at him up against Grealish, De Bruyne, Kane, Salah, he's not up there. And he blanked tonight as well against Sheffield United, so probably his stock has reduced a bit. Maybe faith in him has reduced a bit. But for me, the only reason I'm looking at Fernandes is because of that Leeds defence, that they will concede chances, and I just think that will mean 2-3 goals for United is what I'm thinking. You look at Kane, and yes, 19 goal involvements. He's had a chance every a shot every 23 minutes. So he's right up there with that, and shot in the box every 37.5 minutes. Only Salah's done better than that in terms of the captain candidates. But it's the Leicester defence. But the Leicester defence, though, is no great shakes recently. I mean, against Everton, they looked fragile, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, and you never really know what you're going to get. Sometimes they look like unbeatable, and like I said with Ndidi there, he's like a kind of Kante light, isn't he? Like he's just all over the place, making such good tackles, interceptions, and winning the ball back for them. He's so important now going forward. But then they have him in the team, and they lose 2-0 to Everton.
Yeah.
It's a bit bizarre. You kind of don't really know what you're going to get with them. Narrow win over Sheffield United, a loss to Fulham, and then a massive win against City earlier in the season. I don't know. They're a bit of a strange team to predict this year, and it's like Rodgers hasn't really quite got the system figured out. Barnes is in and out of the team, and Perez as well, and Tielemans. I don't know. I don't really get them. Whereas Spurs are so. It's the same with West Ham as well. They just know exactly what they're doing. All the players know. It's so well drilled. So yeah, that's why I fancy Spurs to win.
The only thing is that if Spurs get 1 or 2 goals up, even 1 goal up, I just kind of don't trust Mourinho to not go, right, we'll take that. We'll just sit back now.
Yeah.
That's my concern. Right? Of all the top teams, of all the teams that have captain candidates in them, Spurs are the most likely to manage the game out from a ridiculous point. Even if they're 1-0 up at half time, they'll spend the second half just camped in their own box, defending against Leicester and going, well, try and score.
But that could suit Son on the counter. If Leicester are pushing on, and I don't know, it's hard to predict. You never really know with Spurs. They are that kind of team now. They're a very, very frustrating team to play against, I think.
Well, I look at the Leicester's defensive data here, and look at in terms of minutes per chance conceded over the last 4 game weeks, of the defences against the captain candidates, they're the best. 9.73 minutes per chance conceded. I just don't think Spurs will score many goals against them, and I don't think Mourinho goes out to score many goals these days. So that's why I'm more inclined to go Fernandes, because I just think it's going to be a more open game, and Leeds will concede ground and space to that United attack. And Fernandes, he didn't do it tonight, but I don't think that's a reason to go, well, we're not going to back him against Leeds. So I'm sticking with Fernandes myself. We haven't got Severt's captain. I will get that, and I will tweet that out.
Tweet it.
So are you not going to go Fernandes then?
Well, I haven't got Kane,
Right.
so I'm going to have to. It's a little bit reluctant. I think Kane can deliver in that game. I think Fernandes can deliver in that game. I don't mind captaining Salah in any game. I don't care who they're playing. I don't think Salah away at Crystal Palace is a bad game for Salah, because we know what he's capable of. I think this week is a tricky week for the captain. City have got a tricky game. Spurs have. Liverpool have. Everyone. I mean, if anything, the Chelsea game is a good game, but there's no options with their attackers, is there? With Ziyech out and Pulisic and Werner not really in the team. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a coin flip. So I'm probably going to just stick with Fernandes just because he's reliant. But look at this. I mean, Fernandes tonight, he's never blanked away for United in the league. He plays bottom of the league tonight as my captain.
And they scored what, 3 goals?
Sucks.
How many goals did they get?
I hate this. Why do we play this game, Mark? I hate it.
But how many goals do United get? 3 goals.
3 goals, yeah, 3-1.
And he didn't have a hand.
No, 3-2, 3-2, I think.
3-2. Right. Did Brewster come on? Oh, yeah, we didn't know.
He did.
Did he? Right.
He did.
That's nice to hear. Okay, it's we've reached the 10k. It's time to smash and like, isn't it? As I think before we round off the show. 2
hours 5 minutes. I think it's our longest.
It is, and Jay's not even to blame, so it's only our fault.
I know.
Really. But there you go.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 1,180 people watching live, 300 likes, 1 dislike. That's not very nice from the 1 dislike.
That might have been me. I've had a few to drink and might have slipped on the keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, we've hit 10k subs. Amazing. That's why we're in the suits. If anyone's wondering,
yeah, that's why. It's not because we've just come from work or anything like that.
But if you are watching, please like and sub. It does, boost us up the ranks and helps us grow the channel. So smash that button as much as you can. But thanks for watching and all your support. It's been great. The first 40 episodes have flown by.
It has, and we'll be back on Wednesday. I hope to do the 23rd, and then make sure you're about for the 27th. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen that night. Az and I are going to be talking through my
If you don't sub, you won't get the notification.
So we don't know what time it's going to be. It could be 10, 11, could be past midnight. I mean, we've done a live stream past midnight before now, so just be around on that day. It could be when the relatives leave. It could be any time, right? But we're going to be doing something.
There could be relatives in the background for you. Who knows?
But I'm going to be playing my wild card that night. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have a bit to drink, and I'm going to play the wild card. And Az is going to help me. I say help me. He's not going to help me at all. Is he? We'll see if we can get Andy in as well, shall we? Let's see if we can get him in an impromptu.
Granville as well. Is he going to be knocking around? Oh, it's going to be so good. I can't wait.
Why don't we get Joey in to slag off my wild card before I play it instead of after? Let's do that as
well. Oh, yes.
Anyway, all right. It's a good night for me.
Good night, everyone. Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas from me as well.